Chapter 267. In the back garden of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Red maple leaves fluttered down. Qingyu was lying alone on the grass, leaning against a big tree. His eyes were slightly engrossed, and no one knew what he was thinking about. After separating from Zhongju at Mount Qingshu, Qingyu and his two brothers quickly entered the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Hou Fei, Kuro, and the extreme ice lion Shurexien were chatting, while Qingyu was quietly pondering. From the current situation, Feng Tian and Zhongju have formed a school in their minds. This school has Sword Immortal Lan Feng and the mysterious Uncle Lan. The younger generation has Mi and Fei. In addition, Sword Immortal Lan Feng shocked the Immortal Realm Emissary. I believe the following matters will be very perfect. The corners of Qinyu's mouth could not help but curl into a smile. If you want to obtain benefits, you naturally need to invest. Nearly 20% of the top-grade elemental holy ore's energy was consumed. This was Qinyu's investment this time. Of course, the benefits will also be obtained quickly. Qinyu's goal is top-grade elemental holy ore. Qinyu's eyes flashed. An Immortal Realm Emissary already has so many treasures. Presumably he also has top-grade elemental holy ore. But will a mere Immortal Realm Emissary's top-grade elemental holy ore satisfy me? The Devil Realm Emissary, the Demon Realm Emissary, the Dragon Clan Emissary. Each emissary has many treasures. Maybe some emissaries have even more top-grade elemental holy ore than the Immortal Realm Emissary. Hou Fei was running over at top speed. Seeing Qingyu from afar, he said with a face full of surprise, "Big brother, why are you here? Big brother, why are you here? Let's go." Shurexien and the other two extreme ice lions are fighting a big battle with the mixed hairbird on the training field in the West Garden. Ha. Shurexien and Shebing think they are very powerful. Although the mixed hairy bird is a bit weaker than me, his strength is still very strong. Hou Fei pulled Qinyu's hand and was about to leave. Qingyu smiled. Oh. Shurexien and the other two are fighting Xiao Hei. Interesting. Let's go. In the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, when everyone was bored, they would fight with each other. In fact, Hou Fei was the one who came up with the idea of this martial arts competition. Only a violent person like him who loved to fight could not stand the loneliness. Qingyu was thinking about the outside world. The Celestial Realm Emissary has already descended to the mortal world. I'm sure the other emissaries will also descend to the mortal world. Times the Immortal Realm Emissary Hua Yan and Reverend Ming Liang are flying side by side. Behind them are dozens of loose immortal experts. Not long after descending to the mortal world, Hua Yan decided to go to the side of the loose devils to seize the heaven-sundering diagram of the devil path. Emissaries from various realms, according to Ming Liang's information, other than that mysterious sword Immortal Lan Feng, I seem to be the first to descend. Hua Yan's face had a faint smile. Then I should take advantage of this opportunity to snatch it. Although that Dragon Clan's Feng Tian was defeated by me, it was probably because I didn't use the Inheritance Dragon Pearl. Later on, through his exchange with Reverend Ming Liang, Hua Yan came to know that the Dragon Clan still had the Legacy Dragon Pearl. Feng Tian was already so powerful without using the Inheritance Dragon Pearl. Once he uses the Inheritance Dragon Pearl, it would be extremely difficult for Hua Yan to win. On the contrary, the other heaven-sundering diagram belonged to the loose devils, but their strength was very weak. Of course, this weak was equivalent to Hua Yan. Who will be the Devil Realm Emissary? Blood Devil Emperor's people, Black Devil Emperor's people, or Azura Devil Emperor's people? Hua Yan thought to himself. In fact, any of the Devil Emperor's people would give Hua Yan a headache. These three Devil Emperors dared to use the three most powerful Devil Path techniques as their names. One could imagine their strength. Although it was a headache, Hua Yan was not afraid. After all, the might of a sword immortal was not a bluff. Humph, Devil Realm Emissary, before you descend, I will first seize the heaven-sundering diagram. Wait until the heaven-sundering diagram is in my hands. Let's see how you will snatch it from me. Hua Yan smiled indifferently. Senior Hua Yan, we are about to reach the Inue mountain range. Reverend Ming Liang said respectfully. N. Hua Yan nodded. At the same time, his immortal sense covered the entire Yingyue mountain range. Yingyue mountain range. Wukong Shui led several tens of thousands of loose devil experts to move the land and plants, restoring the Yingyue mountain range to its former appearance. The Yingyue palace was also quickly rebuilt under the joint efforts of the loose devil experts. The reason why they worked so hard was mainly because the Devil Realm Emissary was about to descend. Following the descent of the Immortal Realm Emissary, the emissaries of the various realms would also descend. These days, Dame Lien Yu had been very vexed. Time after time, the successive blows made her unprecedentedly tired. Countless disciples of the Yingyue Palace were killed or injured. The Yingyue mountain range was destroyed. Even the loose devil side was attacked by the mysterious 4 experts. Even Wukong Shui was suppressed by a mysterious expert. The loose devil side's arrogance had already been completely restrained. On a small mountain peak of the Yingyue mountain range, Wukong Shui stood at the peak. A strong wind blew his blood-red robe. Wukong Shui, the Devil Realm Emissary is about to descend. I just learned that the Devil Realm Emissary will be a subordinate of the Devil Realm's 3 strongest Devil Emperors, the Blood Devil Emperor. Dame Lien Yu walked to Wukong Shui's side and said. Wukong Shui's eyes brightened. Blood Devil Emperor? Regarding the Devil Realm's powers, Wukong Shui did not know much. However, Dame Lien Yu learned some information when she communicated with the people of the Upper Realm. These days, Dame Lien Yu also told Wukong Shui some basic knowledge of the Devil Realm. Wukong Shui naturally knew about the Blood Devil Emperor. The Devil Realm's 3 strongest Devil Emperors were the Blood Devil Emperor, the Black Devil Emperor, and the Azure Devil Emperor. The Blood Devil Emperor was the strongest person in the Devil Realm who practiced the Blood Devil Path. As for Wukong Shui, he practices the Blood Devil Path. If he entered the Devil Realm, it would be best for Wukong Shui to join the Blood Devil Emperor's side. Lien Yu. Wukong Shui suddenly frowned. That was because at this moment, an enormous immortal aura had completely covered the entire Yingyue mountain range. That immortal aura had already reached a frightening level. I am the Immortal Realm Emissary. Sword Immortal Hua Yan. You all quickly hand over the heaven-sundering diagram to me. If you do not hand over the heaven-sundering diagram within the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, within the Yingyue mountain range, I will not spare a single one of the 10th tribulation loose devils and kill them all. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's voice was cold and indifferent. If you do not hand it over, you will kill. Without the slightest bit of benevolence or righteousness. Killing all the 10th tribulation loose devils and above, was that not the same as killing all the experts on the loose devil side? If all these super experts died, the loose devil side would truly become the weakest side. A blood-red light flashed. Wukong Shui stood in the air, looking at the distant sword Immortal Hua Yan. Immortal Realm Emissary? Wukong Shui's eyelids twitched. He personally saw Reverend Ming Liang standing respectfully behind Hua Yan. An immortal who could cause Reverend Ming Liang to be so respectful was naturally the Immortal Realm Emissary. Moreover, Hua Yan deliberately spread out his aura, causing Wukong Shui to feel great pressure. Half the time has already passed, but I still have not seen the heaven-sundering diagram. There is still half a cup of tea's worth of time. If I still do not see the heaven-sundering diagram after half a cup of tea's worth of time, the 10th tribulation experts and above will be like the highest mountain peak. Hua Yan said coldly. At the same time, Hua Yan's right hand slowly touched the sword hilt on his back, drawing the sword. Immediately, a sword light soared into the sky, incomparably dazzling. Like cutting through tofu, the dazzling sword light actually easily cut through the highest mountain peak of the Yingyue mountain range. Following a rumbling sound, that huge mountain peak tumbled down, causing countless loose devils to be thrown into a state of chaos. Cold sweat dripped down from their temples. The faces of Wukong Shui, Dame Lien Yu, Wu Hei, Fire Devil and the others all changed greatly. Too strong. Even Wukong Shui felt that he would not be able to withstand that attack. The 6th move of the 7-star sword art, how could its power be weak? Hua Yan had used a ruthless move the moment he arrived, only to intimidate the opponent. Because Hua Yan clearly knew that if the opponent was not willing to hand over the heaven-sundering diagram, even if he killed those experts, he would not be able to find it. He did not come here to kill, but for the heaven-sundering diagram. That was why he used up so much power to use such a powerful move. Wu Kong Shui, Dame Lian Yu and the others looked at each other. Lian Yu, the Immortal Realm Emissary is really too strong. We simply cannot resist. What should we do now? Fire Devil was slightly anxious. Dame Lian Yu looked at Wu Kong Shui. Wu Kong Shui, what do you think we should do? Wu Kong Shui also became silent. He simply did not want to hand over the heaven-sundering diagram, but the opponent was really too strong. Just at this moment, rumble, the entire world shook. The violent spatial vibration caused the air to radiate in all directions like ripples. Trees were shattered and huge rocks were turned into powder. With just one spatial vibration, 30 to 40% of the huge Inue mountain range was destroyed. In the sky above the Inue mountain range, that whirlpool continuously emitted all kinds of colorful lights, gorgeous and dazzling. Finally, haha, I finally come, haha, along with a wild laugh, a huge bloody cloud instantly covered the entire sky. Compared to Wu Kong Shui's cloud, this blood cloud was even bigger and had an even more bloody aura. Wearing a purple armor, the surface of that purple armor even had a blood-red flow. With a head full of blood-red hair, the entire person was like a crazy lion, violent and tyrannical. Du Zhongjun. In the distance, Sword Immortal Hua Yan saw the newcomer and could not help but mutter, Blood Devil Emperor actually sent this madman over, looks like there will be a bit of trouble. Wu Kong Shui, Dame Lian Yu, Fire Devil, Wu Hei and the other experts were all overjoyed. They knew that the newcomer was definitely the Devil Realm Emissary. At the most dangerous moment, the Devil Realm Emissary had come down to the mortal world. How exciting was this? Wu Kong Shui, Dame Lian Yu and the others immediately soared into the sky. The loose devils behind them divided into 2 rows and bowed to welcome them. Lian Yu of the Inue Palace greets the Devil Realm Emissary. This is Wu Kong Shui. Dame Lian Yu stepped forward and said. Wu Kong Shui also bowed and said, Junior Wu Kong Shui greets Senior. Seeing Wu Kong Shui, the Devil Realm Emissary's eyes brightened. Good, good. You practice the Blood Devil path right? Not bad. Our Blood Devil path is the strongest devil path. You should feel lucky to have practiced it. The Devil Realm Emissary opened his bloody mouth and praised. Lian Yu, Wu Kong Shui, you have done a great service. Lord Blood Devil Emperor has bestowed each of you a top-grade devil weapon. Accept it. A slender blood-red long sword and a blood-red disc appeared in the Devil Realm Emissary's hand. At the same time, he immediately removed the blood contract. Lian Yu, you have not practiced the Blood Devil path, so you cannot use the Blood Moon. You can just refine this devil sword. As for Wu Kong Shui, you practice the Blood Devil path. Once you refine this Blood Moon, your power will increase several times. The Devil Realm Emissary laughed loudly. Dame Lian Yu and Wu Kong Shui's eyes shined. Top-grade devil weapon. Thank you, Lord Blood Devil Emperor. Thank you, Lord Emissary. Both Dame Lian Yu and Wu Kong Shui were very respectful. Emissary? In the future, don't call me Emissary. Call me Call me Lord Blood Devil. Haha. Blood Devil. The Devil Realm Emissary appeared very excited. Humph, Du Zhongjun, your skin is really thick. A cold and indifferent voice sounded. Blood Devil gave a cold humph and looked into the distance. He immediately smiled. Oh, so it is Hua Yan. Hua Yan, aren't you a general under Emperor Yu? Last time we met, I didn't expect the Immortal Realm Emissary to be you. Hua Yan smiled indifferently. I really didn't expect that someone would be so thick-skinned, daring to call himself Blood Devil. In the Devil Realm, the experts who practiced the Blood Devil path had always thought that the title, Blood Devil, was the greatest glory. Among the Devil King level experts, only one person was called Blood Devil King. Among the Devil Emperor level experts, only one person was called Blood Devil Emperor. This Du Zhongjun could be considered a genius. However, he was only a level 1 Devil King, Heavenly Devil, Devil King, Devil Emperor, equivalent to Heavenly Immortal, Golden Immortal, Mystic Immortal. Naturally, it was impossible for him to have the title Blood Devil King. Haha, in this mortal realm, in terms of Blood Devil path cultivation, is there anyone who can match me? You pretty boy, what's wrong with me calling myself Blood Devil in the mortal realm? It's none of your business. Blood Devil, Du Zhongjun, said carelessly. This Devil Realm emissary Du Zhongjun called himself Blood Devil, in order to satisfy the thirst in his heart. Junior greets Senior Blood Devil. Wu Kong Shui, Dame Lien Yu and the others very cleverly said respectfully. Immediately, countless loose devils said respectfully, "Greetings Senior Blood Devil." Ha ha. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun immediately laughed out loud complacently. Hua Yen, you are the immortal realm emissary, what have you come here for? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's face became cold. Beside him, Wu Kong Shui immediately said, Senior Blood Devil, that Hua Yen wants to forcibly take the Heaven Sundering Diagram. He said that if you don't hand over the Heaven Sundering Diagram, he will kill all 10th Tribulation loose devils and above. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's face immediately changed. F*CK, Hua Yen, I didn't go to massacre your loose immortals, and you actually came to my place. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's face was ferocious, his killing intent faintly visible. Sword Immortal Hua Yen frowned. Hua Yen also knew Du Zhongjun's character very well. Dealing with him would be rather troublesome. Let's go, Hua Yen said to the loose immortals, then turned around to leave. Wait, Hua Yen, don't be in a hurry to leave. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun shouted loudly. At the same time, he used his devil sense to send a message, Wu Kong Shui, where is the Heaven Sundering Diagram? If the Heaven Sundering Diagram was taken by that Hua Yen, he naturally wanted to take it back. Wu Kong Shui immediately sent a message, Senior, don't worry, the Heaven Sundering Diagram is still in our hands. Blood Devil, what do you want me to stay here for? Hua Yen looked coldly at Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. Blood Devil grinned. Nothing much, I just want to remind you that those who practice the Blood Devil Modeo love to kill people the most. And I am a genius of the Blood Devil Modeo, It is very likely that I will go on a killing spree in the near future. You should be a bit more careful and protect your subordinates well. While saying that, he even used his greedy eyes to sweep over those loose immortals. Humph, if you have the ability, then come. Sword Immortal Hua Yen gave a cold humph, then immediately left with his subordinates. Chapter 268. Senior Zong, you're not lying to me? Even the Dragon Clan's emissary from the upper realm has descended? Within the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu is currently communicating with Zong Ju through a transmission talisman. The arrival of the Devil Realm's emissary, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, was shocking and quickly spread throughout the entire Tanglong continent. Qin Yu naturally also received the news, but who would have thought that in just a few days, the Dragon Clan's emissary would also descend? Don't worry, Fong Tian personally told me this news. Now that Fong Tian has a top-grade demon artifact as well as a top-grade demon artifact level battle armor, he wants to have a rematch with Hua Yen. Zong Ju was not the slightest bit envious. Fong Tian obtained a treasure from the Dragon Clan's emissary. However, the treasure that Zong Ju obtained from Uncle Lan was definitely not bad. Qin Yu, why did you send me a transmission? I don't believe that you would find me for no reason. Zong Ju transmitted. Qin Yu's mouth had a trace of a smile, and immediately transmitted the message with his spiritual sense. There is a rather important matter. Senior Zong, do you still remember that Sword Immortal Lan Feng, when he left, said that he wanted me to help him with an important matter? What, did he look for you? Zong Ju's interest was piqued. Qin Yu snickered in his heart. Looking for me? That Sword Immortal Lan Feng was actually his own doppelganger. Yes, he looked for me, and I also discovered a shocking secret. No wonder he said that he had a relationship with my master. Stop, don't say it yet, let me guess, see if my guess is correct. Zhongju already had a grasp in his heart. Qin Yu continued to pretend, Senior Zong, please speak. Is this sword Immortal Lan Feng your martial uncle? Moreover, he is Senior Lan's junior martial brother? Zhongju spoke out the conjecture in his heart. Qin Yu immediately transmitted, yes. Haha, I guessed right. But you little brat, don't pretend. With your intelligence, you must have already guessed something from Lan Feng's words. Alright, don't pretend to be surprised to make me happy. Tell me, why did your martial uncle look for you? Zhongju immediately asked. Qin Yu began to talk about the plan in his heart. This is also the first time I've heard of this little martial uncle of mine. This time he asked me to do something. If I were to do it alone, it would be a little difficult. That's why I asked for Senior Zong's help. What is it? Zhongju asked. Qin Yu faintly smiled, and his spiritual sense entered two words. Auction. Auction. Auction what? Don't tell me it's the heaven-sundering diagram? Zhongju's mind flashed, and he immediately continued to inquire. Yes. Senior Zong. Now that youngest martial uncle was in urgent need of top-grade elemental holy stones, he wanted to auction off the heaven-sundering diagram first. Of course, the price of the heaven-sundering diagram had to be in top-grade elemental holy stones. I don't want anything else. Qin Yu quickly transmitted. In other words, the heaven-sundering diagram will belong to whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy ore. Top-grade elemental spirit stone. What Qin Yu needed the most was top-grade elemental holy ore. Qin Yu had long thought that although the emissaries of the upper realm brought many treasures, they might not necessarily bring many top-grade elemental holy ore. Because from the perspective of the upper realm, top-grade elemental holy ore was almost useless in entering Ni Yang's realm. But even if it wasn't much, there would at least be 2 or 3 or 4. After all, with one more, the strength of the sword Immortal Puppet would increase by several folds. And this sword Immortal Puppet was Qin Yu's biggest reliance in preparing to enter Ni Yang's realm to seize the treasure. Zhongju was puzzled. Little brother Qin Yu, this heaven-sundering diagram is related to Ni Yang's realm. Even the various superpowers of the upper realm worked hard to break through the spatial barrier to send emissaries down. It can be imagined that there is an extremely important treasure in Ni Yang's realm. How could your little martial uncle be willing to auction it off? Qin Yu smiled and replied, Senior Zong, don't worry. Even without the heaven-sundering diagram, my sect still has a way to enter Ni Yang's realm. How is that possible? Zhongju couldn't believe it. Qin Yu immediately replied, this method was personally obtained by my Uncle Lan. It's just that there is a limit to the number of people who can enter Ni Yang's realm. However, if Senior Zong really wants to enter, I can also give you 1 or 2 quotas to enter Ni Yang's realm. How about it? Qin Yu looked at the transmission talisman in his hand. Zhongju didn't reply for a long time. Little brother Qin Yu, Senior Lan said that you could bring me an opportunity. Indeed, it's not bad, haha. I originally thought that after losing the heaven-sundering diagram, I wouldn't be able to enter Ni Yang's realm. Who would have thought that there would be a silver lining at the end of the tunnel? Zhongju sighed. Qin Yu's heart skipped a beat. Uncle Lan said that he would bring Zhongju an opportunity? Wasn't this a little too shocking? Qin Yu still remembered what Uncle Lan said when he left. Ni Yang's realm was a test for him. Only by passing Ni Yang's realm would he be able to know what stage he had cultivated to before he could see Lier. Ni Yang's realm. In Qin Yu's heart, successfully passing Ni Yang's realm was a must. At that time, my Qin clan lost so many disciples. Now that I've burned Qing Su Temple and Inue Palace, it can be considered that I've avenged part of my hatred. As for the instigators, Reverend Ming Liang and Wu Kong Shui, after the auction, when I've obtained enough top-grade elemental holy ores, I'll kill them. Qin Yu sentenced the 2 of them to death in his heart. To me now, the most important thing is how to successfully pass Ni Yang's realm. To enter Ni Yang's realm, the most important thing is to have many experts on my side. Senior Zhongju can be pulled to my side. As for the sword immortal puppet, it can be used as a last resort. However, other than me, the Lord of Black Flame's ring can still bring in 8 people. Fei and Xiao He. Zhongju can have 2 or 3 people on his side. I can still bring in 3 or 4 people. Qin Yu's mind was rapidly pondering how to effectively use the quota and rope in some friendly powers at the same time. Within Ni Yang's realm, there were many dangers. The more friendly powers there were, the easier it would be, and the trump cards could not be easily used. After all, the Immortal Realm Emissary, Devil Realm Emissary, Dragon Realm Emissary and other experts, who would not have enough trump cards. For example, the Immortal Realm Emissary Hua Yan. The 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talisman seemed quite powerful, but Qin Yu did not believe that it was his final trump card. That Immortal Realm Emperor Yu had spent so much effort to break through the barrier between the 2 realms. How could he not give Hua Yan some extremely powerful trump cards? Suddenly, Qin Yu smiles. Perhaps, in the eyes of the emissaries of the various realms, only the emissaries of the various ascended realms are their enemies. I reckon they don't care about an ordinary Zionist like me at all. Instead, Qin Yu feels happy. What he wants is for others to ignore him. Let those Ascendant Realm emissaries fight each other after arriving in Ni Yang's realm. He, the weakling, would be at the side. It would not be too late to make a move at the last moment. Qin Yu. The transmission talisman caused Qin Yu's spiritual sense to tremble again. It turned out that Zhongju had sent a second message. Oh, Senior Zhongju, I was slightly distracted just now. Qin Yu immediately transmitted. I really found it hard to imagine that my Uncle Lan was actually so powerful. He said that I would bring Senior Zhong an opportunity. This is really too unbelievable. Senior Lan is indeed very powerful. Since you have revealed a secret, I will also tell you a secret. Zhongju said with a smile. Oh. Qin Yu was surprised. Senior Lan had once given me a weapon a year or 2 ago. This weapon is very suitable for me. With it, even if I were to face Hua Yan, I would have enough confidence. Back then at Qingsu Mountain, I just did not want to take out this weapon so early. Zhongju said confidently. Qin Yu saw this message with his spiritual sense and was secretly surprised. The weapons that Uncle Lan had given Fei and Xiao He, Qin Yu still could not see through them. Cloud-piercing spear, black stick. The material was peculiar. In terms of hardness, even Qin Yu's middle-grade immortal sword was unable to leave a mark on it. There was also the sword immortal puppet. The material was even more peculiar. In the introduction of the sword immortal puppet that Uncle Lan had left behind, it hinted that the sword immortal puppet was almost indestructible. Zhongju continued to transmit. Humph, I will not use this weapon for the time being. Wait until I reach Ni Yang's realm. With my speed that can look down on all the Ascendant Realm emissaries and this weapon, who would I be afraid of? Qin Yu slightly nodded. Indeed, with the terrifying speed of the super divine beast Golden Wing Great Pang, even a level 1 Golden Immortal Sword Immortal and that Blood Devil. In terms of speed, there was a large gap between them. Once Zhongju relied on his speed to dodge, and relied on the mysterious weapon to attack, he would indeed be a very frightening enemy. The stronger Zhongju is, the more advantageous it is for me. Qin Yu secretly rejoiced. At the same time, he immediately transmitted. Senior Zhong, I think you already know the purpose of this transmission. It is about the auction of the Heaven Sundering diagram. As for top-grade elemental holy ores, there are too few in the mortal realm. Junior Martial Uncle's target is the Ascendant Realm Emissaries. Ascendant Realm Emissaries, I'm afraid they have some top-grade elemental holy ores. Zhongju also agreed. Immortal Realm, Devil Realm, Dragon Clan and Demon Clan emissaries. Qin Yu continued. Senior Zhong, I only have one difficulty, and that is how to spread this news. So you found me, right? Qin Yu, you can rest assured. As long as I say the word, your news will spread throughout the entire chaotic astral ocean. Those countless loose practitioners will naturally know, and the countless loose practitioners of the Tenglong continent will naturally know. As long as it is an expert of the mortal realm, no one will not know. Zhong Ju said confidently. He indeed had this kind of confidence. With his position, if he spread a piece of news throughout the entire chaotic astral ocean, the loose immortals, loose devils and wild demons would definitely have a lot of people in the chaotic astral ocean. Of course, they would get the news. Then I am very grateful to Senior Zhong. I think the auction will be held on the last day of the year at Snowfish Island in the south of the chaotic astral ocean. As long as Senior Zhong can spread this news, Qin Yu will be extremely grateful. Qin Yu immediately transmitted. The last day of the year? Isn't there still 6 or 7 months? Zhong Ju said doubtfully after some calculations. There is indeed 6 or 7 months, but Junior still has some matters to attend to in a few months. Qin Yu said with a smile. In another 4 months or so, it would almost be the day of his 9th heaven tribulation. Crossing the 9th heaven tribulation is the most important thing. Even the auction of the heaven sundering diagram would have to wait until after crossing the tribulation. Times with the immortal realm emissaries, devil realm emissaries, dragon clan emissaries and even the demon realm beast emissaries about to descend, the entire mortal realm was in a state of balance. Because all the emissaries understood one thing, every emissary had a powerful trump card. Until the last moment, no emissary was willing to fight to the death with another emissary. After all, if they killed each other, it would only benefit the other emissaries. Therefore, the mortal realm was very peaceful. But Qin Yu and Zhong Ju's conversation set off a hurricane wave in the peaceful mortal realm. With Zhong Ju's command, countless loose practitioners immediately spread the news. The heaven sundering diagram will be auctioned at Snowfish Island on the last day of the year. You must use top-grade elemental spirit stones to participate in the auction. No other items will be accepted. Whoever offers the most top-grade elemental spirit stones will get the last heaven sundering diagram. This news spread like a whirlwind throughout the entire mortal realm. Almost all the emissaries knew. 3 heaven sundering diagrams. One was with the Dragon Clan. With the Dragon Clan emissaries descending to the mortal realm, in addition to the Dragon Clan Patriarch Fong Tian's strength. No one could even think of seizing this heaven sundering diagram. The second heaven sundering diagram was with the Blood Devil Du Zhong Jun. The Blood Devil's strength was valiant. Who knew what powerful trump cards he had in secret? The last diagram was actually taken away by an expert whose power was not below Sword Immortal Hua Yan's, Sword Immortal Lan Feng. This Sword Immortal Lan Feng seemed to suddenly appear and disappear. No one knew where he came from or where he went. Even if one wanted to seize this diagram, there was no address or target. The one being auctioned, according to estimates, was most likely Sword Immortal Lan Feng's diagram. This is the last chance. No matter what, I must obtain this heaven sundering diagram. Within the heavenly palace, Sword Immortal Hua Yan's eyes were shining. The auctioneer only wants top-grade elemental spirit stones. Hua Yan's heart was filled with regret. If he had known that top-grade elemental spirit stones were so useful, he would have brought hundreds of them with him in the immortal realm. Although top-grade elemental spirit stones were precious, but to the leader of a superpower like Emperor Yu, not to mention top-grade elemental spirit stones, even elemental spirit essence could be taken out at will. Who would have thought that today, Hua Yan would only casually bring a few top-grade elemental spirit stones with him? Only a few, so little. Can I get the heaven sundering diagram? No matter what, I must obtain that diagram. Hua Yan clenched his teeth and suddenly disappeared from the heavenly palace. Within the wilderness, the ruler of the wilderness, Yu Liang, and his 3 subordinates, Kong Chao, Xing Shou, and Wu Shan, were rushing back to the wilderness. My lord, this time we went to the Tenglong continent, but we did not use our full strength. Wu Shan muttered. Yu Liang smiled faintly and said, This is the order of the demon realm emissary. If we obtain the heaven sundering diagram, then we obtain it. If we do not obtain it, then there is no problem. Because among the emissaries, the demon realm emissary is definitely the strongest. The emissary will descend in a few days. At that time, we can directly seize the heaven-sundering diagram. Yu Liang still remembered the confident tone of the demon realm emissary. In fact, Yu Liang was also puzzled. How can they be so confident? How can they be so sure that the demon realm emissary is the strongest? No matter what, there are still a few days before the demon realm emissary who dares to claim to be the strongest will descend. Chapter 269. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, and Kuro were all wearing black robes as they flew above the endless sea. Behind the three brothers were the four spirit beasts in human form: Ink Qilin, Shirexien, Shibing, and Shizhan. In the distance, the Qianlong continent was already in sight. In just a moment, Qin Yu and his brothers had already flown into the Qianlong continent. Since the auction of the heaven-sundering diagram had already been arranged, Qin Yu wanted to return to the Qianlong continent before the 9th heaven tribulation to have a good reunion with his family. After all, the date of the tribulation was getting closer and closer. Even Qin Yu felt pressured by the 9th heaven tribulation. As the wind blew, a smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. Because in front of him was the capital of the Qin dynasty. The old capital of the Qin dynasty had been destroyed, so the current Qin dynasty had moved the capital to the largest city in the east of the Qin dynasty, Yanjing City. In terms of prosperity, Yanjing City was definitely not inferior to the old capital. Now, Yanjing City had also changed its name to Capital City. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro, and the four spirit beasts behind them stepped into the capital city. Walking on the streets of the capital, Qin Yu is surrounded by beautiful women, rich young masters, virtuous scholars, peddlers, and also some cute children. Seeing this peaceful scene, Qin Yu's heart is very tranquil. He likes this kind of feeling. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, and Kuro were all wearing black robes. Qin Yu and Kuro's cold temperament made the surrounding people feel that the three of them were definitely people of high status. Especially Shirexien, Shizhan, and the four spirit beasts behind them. If the servants had such an aura, one could imagine the high status of the master. Big brother, there are still 2 months until your 9th heaven tribulation. Where are you going to undergo the tribulation? Hou Fei looked at the surrounding scenery and asked at the same time. Qin Yu pondered for a moment and said, "Don't worry. Anyway, when the time comes, we can just find an island in the south of the Qianlong continent to undergo the tribulation." Qin Yu did not care about the location of the tribulation. Now that he had nothing to do, Qin Yu enjoyed shopping and watching the lives of ordinary people. "Big brother, are we going to Prince Yu's mansion now?" Kuro said softly. Qin Yu shakes his head smilingly and says via his holy sense, "There's no need to hurry. The news of my return has only just been sent to the Stellar Tower. My father and Big Brother are preparing to leave the Stellar Tower. Perhaps Big Brother and them are still somewhat unaccustomed to spending these days in the Stellar Tower. Fortunately, they wouldn't be in any danger if they came out now. Now that emissaries from all over the world have descended, no one will come to the Qianlong continent to behave atrociously." There was one more thing that Qin Yu did not mention. Who would come to the Hidden Dragon continent to make trouble for his relatives? Moreover, he was now in the Hidden Dragon continent. With the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu could guarantee that no one would harm his family. If anyone dared to make a move, Qin Yu would not be merciful. Okay, let's not talk about other things. Father and Big Brother have not come back yet. There is a restaurant in front. Let's go and have a good drink. Although the fine wine of the Qingyu Immortal Abode is not bad, it is still not as strong as the wine of mortals. The three brothers communicated with each other through sound transmission. After all, some words were not suitable for ordinary people to hear. Immediately, the three of them walked towards the restaurant. Shirexien, Shizhan and the other two immediately followed them into the restaurant. "Brother Yang, who is the god of wine you are talking about?" "It's the dark, burly man at the table in the southeast corner." "Yes, it's him. This morning, he came over and started drinking. It has already been 3 hours. During this time, he drank 10 jars of raging fire knife wine and 10 plates of beef. What a big man! I am afraid he is more than 2 heads taller than me. What did you just say? 10 jars? Which jars? How is that possible? Is his stomach a bottomless pit? Just after entering the restaurant, Chinyu heard an interesting thing. In this restaurant, there seemed to be a man who was particularly good at drinking. Moreover, he was drinking the strongest raging fire knife wine. That kind of wine, an ordinary burly man would collapse after 3 bowls. However, this tall and sturdy dark-skinned man had drunk 10 jars of it. Not ordinary small jars, but the kind of large jars used by restaurants to store wine. That large jar was at least 20 pounds. 10 jars would be 200 pounds. In the eyes of ordinary people, it could be called a terrible thing. Chinyu and his brothers casually chose a table to sit down. Xin and the other 2 spirit beasts also chose a table to sit down. 10 jars of raging fire knife wine? For experts like Chinyu, not to mention 10 jars, even if it was 100 jars, it would be like a whale swallowing a river. Shopkeeper, give us 3 brothers 10 jars of fiery knife wine. Ho Fei was afraid that the world would not be in chaos, so he laughed and said. Suddenly, all the people on the first floor of the restaurant looked at Ho Fei and his brothers. At this moment, a fat middle-aged man ran over with a smile. 3 guests, it must be your first time drinking raging fire knife wine. This raging fire knife wine is very strong. Not to mention a large jar, even a strong man would collapse after drinking a small jar. Don't talk nonsense. Are you afraid that we brothers don't have money? Just take it when I tell you to. Ho Fei flipped his hand and took out a gold ingot. 10 taels of gold ingot. Although the raging fire knife wine was very strong, it was not a top-quality wine. On the contrary, some of the less strong white jade spring and bamboo leaf fragrance were frighteningly expensive. Even if it was 10 jars of raging fire knife wine, only 10 taels of silver would be enough. 10 taels of gold ingot was enough to buy all the raging fire knife wine in the restaurant. The fat shopkeeper's eyes lit up, and he quickly smiled. 3 guests are naturally rich. Of course you have enough money. If you have enough money, why don't you bring the wine? Ho Fei was impatient. Yes, waiter, quickly go get the wine. The fat shopkeeper's face trembled as he hurriedly said, but in his heart he secretly said, Drink, it has nothing to do with me if you are drunk. You can't drink so much and always show off. Can a person drink 10 jars of raging fire knife wine? Just thinking of this, the fat shopkeeper could not help but look at the dark burly man. This burly man had already started drinking the 11th jar of wine. After drinking for so long, he did not see the burly man leave the table even half a step. Is he still human? The fat shopkeeper muttered in his heart, but on the surface, he was smiling as he returned to his counter. Shopkeeper, give us 4 brothers 10 jars of raging fire knife wine. Shizhan also loudly shouted. The ink Qilin and the other spirit beasts also wanted to drink at this moment. But this shout shocked the entire restaurant. One by one, the guests looked at Shizhan's table. What is going on today? So many people came all of a sudden, and they all want 10 jars of raging fire knife wine in one breath. Can they really drink all of it? That dark burly man really has the ability. As for the other 2 tables, I guess they are just acting on impulse. The whole restaurant began to talk about it. The fat shopkeeper trembled as he ran over. For guests, I am really sorry. Our restaurant did not expect so many people to want raging fire knife wine today. Now our restaurant only has 9 jars of raging fire knife wine left. There is really no stock left. The fat shopkeeper was also very helpless. Usually, it would be good to sell 10 jars a day, but today there were 3 tables of people who wanted 10 jars. No more. Shizhan was startled. There are only 9 jars left. For guests, you can drink slowly. I will immediately order the waiter to bring back dozens of jars. I believe that 9 jars will take some time to drink. This time is enough for the waiter to buy more wine. The shopkeeper was also pitiful. Shi Zhan looked at his brother and finally could only nod his head. Ho Fei also chuckled, but didn't say anything. Fei, Xiao Hei, cheers. Qin Yu raised his big bowl. The three brothers touched their bowls and then drank it very easily. After a big bowl of raging fire knife wine entered their stomach, the three of them felt warm and comfortable. Now there were more and more people on the first floor of the restaurant. Most of the tables were full. Those people were nominally eating, but most of them were slowly eating and drinking. At the same time, they were paying attention to Qin Yu's table, Shi Xian's table, and the dark burly man's table. They really wanted to see if there were so many people who could drink so much. As time passed, the people in the restaurant were surprised. The table of those three brothers is really too powerful. I only saw the three brothers talking and laughing while drinking, as if they were drinking water. In such a short time, the three brothers have already drunk 8 jars. Moreover, the three of them did not seem much different from when they first started drinking. The table of those 4 people is also very powerful. The 9 jars of strong liquor are almost all gone. The people in the restaurant were whispering. They also knew that it was impolite to talk about adults loudly, so they whispered to each other. After all, there were so many experts who could drink in succession. It was too amazing. Even if they were not drunk, how could their stomachs be full? The restaurant's shopkeeper's forehead was now oozing sweat. The table of those 4 people, the 9 jars were almost finished, but the waiter had not yet brought the wine back. Shopkeeper, where is the wine? Didn't you say that after we finished drinking, the waiter would bring the wine back? Shi Zhan frowned and said with slight anger. The fat shopkeeper hurriedly said, "Wait a moment. The waiter will be back soon." The fat shopkeeper had seen countless people in his life. Naturally, he could see that these people who could drink so much wine were not people he could provoke. Moreover, looking at these people's drinking capacity, he knew that none of them were ordinary people. The fat shopkeeper did not dare to offend any of them. After a moment, "Shopkeeper, bring 10 more jars. The taste of this wine is really good." Ho Fei shouted. "Dear guests, please wait a moment." The fat shopkeeper changed from arrogance to deference. He greeted them with a smile, but in his heart, he was cursing angrily. "Mother ***, it's time to change the waiter. It's been so long and he still hasn't brought the wine back. If this group of people is angered, it's possible that they will tear down my restaurant." The fat shopkeeper's guess was very accurate. Any one of these 8 people who could drink could turn his restaurant into dust with a wave of their hand. Suddenly, the fat shopkeeper's eyes brightened. The distant figure of the waiter made him let out a sigh of relief. "Dear guests, the waiter has returned. The wine will be brought to you immediately." The fat shopkeeper immediately ordered the servants in the restaurant to start moving the wine. This time, they drank from noon to night, and then from night to the next morning. Qin Yu and his brothers were at a table, Shi Xian and his 4 spiritual beasts were at a table, and that dark, burly man was at a table. These 3 tables were drinking all the time. Even though it was very late at night, the fat shopkeeper just closed the door of the restaurant and let the 3 tables continue drinking. Qin Yu and his brothers and Shi Xian and his 4 spiritual beasts were able to chat with each other, but that dark, burly man was by himself. From beginning to end, that dark, burly man had not said a single word. In the morning, the rays of the morning sun shone through the door of the restaurant. Awesome! I didn't expect to be able to drink such good wine in a place where mortals live. The dark, burly man stood up. He had finally eaten and drunk to his heart's content. In the morning, there were already quite a few guests in the restaurant. Almost all of them knew how much wine this dark, burly man had drunk. A total of 40 jars. As for the other 2 tables, one had 60 jars and the other had 70 jars. What a terrifying group of people. As expected, he's not a mortal. Qin Yu's eyes flashed with a hint of a smile. At the same time, he used his spiritual sense to investigate for the first time. Qin Yu's eyes brightened. Is he a loose devil, loose demon, or loose immortal? In the Qianlong continent, Qin Yu almost rarely used his spiritual sense, but when he used it just now, Qin Yu discovered that, he was actually unable to see through that dark, burly man. The dark, burly man walked towards Qin Yu's table. Just now he had not discovered it, but when the dark, burly man stood in front of him, Qin Yu discovered that this person's aura was terrifying. It's as if a mountain is pressing down on me. Such a thick and heavy aura, he's definitely an expert, even not inferior to Zhong Ju. Hey little fellow, I find you very pleasing to the eye. The dark, burly man looked at Ho Fei with a smile. Me? Ho Fei pointed at himself in surprise. The dark, burly man nodded and said, My name is Man Qian. You can call me Big Brother Man Qian. Only now did Qin Yu notice one thing. The pupils of this person called Man Qian in front of him were unexpectedly purple. Big brother, damn, I only have one big brother. Why are you my big brother? Ho Fei simply disdained him. A bright light flashed through Man Qian's purple pupils. The smile on his face disappeared without a trace, and his complexion became completely cold. Chapter 270. Qin Yu instead felt a wave of headache. Fei still had that temper, untamed and unruly. The expert in front of them was obviously very strong. Even if the three of them were to go up against him, they might not necessarily win, but Ho Fei was still so arrogant. However, Qin Yu did not say much. After all, he still had the Qingyu immortal abode. Man Gon looked at Ho Fei with a cold face, while Ho Fei stared back at Man Gon, not backing down in the slightest. Good, good. As expected, you have arrogance. As expected of the fiery-eyed water ape. Man Gon suddenly laughed loudly. Ho Fei, Qin Yu, and Kuro were all greatly shocked. There were not many people in the mortal realm who could recognize Ho Fei's real body, but Man Gon had actually said it out loud. Moreover, at that moment, a restriction had appeared around everyone's surroundings, causing the mortals in the outside world to be completely unable to hear their conversation. Qin Yu stood up and said with a slight smile, Brother Man Gon, let me introduce you. This is my second younger brother, Ho Fei. My second younger brother is untamed and unruly, but Brother Man Gon need not mind it too much. This is my third younger brother, Kuro. This temper is even colder than my second younger brother. Oh. Man Gon's eyes lit up, and he looked at Kuro in surprise. With that look, Man Gon looked for quite a while, and became puzzled. Divine beast? Since when did these bird divine beasts have a type like yours? Don't tell me you are a mutated type? Don't know. Kuro squeezed out 3 words from his mouth. Man Gon smiled. It is indeed interesting. Man Gon suddenly looked at Qin Yu, and said with a smile. You are a human, right? A human being is actually able to make the fiery-eyed water ape and a divine beast that even I cannot see through to be big brothers. That really makes me surprised. I'm Qin Yu, just a cultivator. Qin Yu said with a smile. Man Qian nodded his head, and took a look at Shurexien and the other 3 great spiritual beasts. Shortly after, he said to Qin Yu, Brother Qin Yu, I really admire you enough to actually be able to make 4 divine beasts willingly become spiritual beasts. However, for 4 mid-level divine beasts to be able to mix together with Ho Fei, I presume that they have also obtained quite a good martial cultivation method. This can also be considered as their good fortune. It was very obvious that Man Gon was aware of Ho Fei's divine beast grade. What you guys usually use is a transmission talisman, right? Give me your transmission talisman. In the future, if you have any problems, you can look for me. I think I am still able to deal with most matters in the mortal realm. Man Qian smiled very sincerely. Qin Yu was also surprised. To tell the truth, although this dark-skinned man in front of him gave off a heavy aura, his face was very scary when he was cold. However, when Man Gon smiled, there was instead a feeling of trust. He was born to be a commander. Qin Yu judged in his heart. Coldness made people fearful. Smiling made people unable to help but trust him. It was also the first time that Qin Yu had seen such a person. Even if it was Ho Fei or Kuro, they both belonged to the type that was more aloof and arrogant. Qin Yu was naturally happy to make friends. Soon after, he left behind a spiritual knowledge imprint with Man Gone. Brother Qin Yu, there is also Ho Fei and Kuro. I currently have an important matter to attend to in the Tanglong continent. I will temporarily part with you guys here. If there is an opportunity, you can look for me through the transmission talisman. Man Gone looked at Qin Yu and the other two and said. At the same time, Man Gone also released the surrounding restrictions. Qin Yu immediately stood up and said, if there is an opportunity, I will definitely meet up with Brother Man Gone once again. Meanwhile, Ho Fei and Kuro also stood up. They also felt that this dark-skinned man in front of them could also be considered to be worth making friends with. Goodbye. Man Gone cupped his hands and said. Soon after, he left the restaurant in 2 or 3 steps, and his entire person disappeared from everyone's sight. It was also unknown whether it was teleportation or some kind of magical ability. I never thought that I would also be able to meet such an unfathomable expert in the hidden dragon continent. Qin Yu secretly sighed in his heart. Master, what did that man say to you guys just now? The Ink Qilin transmitted his voice. Meanwhile, the 3 She brothers also looked over in confusion. Just now, that Man Gone had used a restriction, causing the conversation between Man Gone and Qin Yu and the other 2 to be completely unheard by the 4 great spirit beasts. Nothing much. All right, prepare to return to the prince's residence. Qin Yu said indifferently. The 4 great spirit beasts immediately stopped asking. Immediately after, everyone returned to the prince's residence. A few days after Qin Yu left the restaurant, the Inue mountain range welcomed a person. It was precisely that Man Gone. The gathering place of the loose devils? 3 sundering the heavens diagrams. The dragon clan has 1, and the loose devils have 1. There is also one that can't even find the target. Although it is not difficult to deal with the dragon clan's emissary and the dragon clan's clan elder who possesses a top-grade demon artifact, it is also very troublesome. It is still the loose devil's side that is simpler. Man Gone looked at the enormous Inue mountain range, secretly calculating in his heart. The Inue mountain range had tens of thousands of loose devils, and there were even hundreds of thousands of ordinary demonic cultivators. Those were people who came from various demonic cultivation sections. At present, there was the blood devil Du Zhongjun overseeing. The entire loose devil side had straightened their waists by quite a bit. In a few steps, Man Gone had already reached the Inue Palace's boundary. Who is it? A loose devil guarding the Inue Palace's periphery shouted. Man Gone only gave that loose devil an indifferent glance. The light in his purple pupils circulated, and the expression on that loose devil's face immediately stiffened. Meanwhile, Man Gone directly stepped into the Inue Palace, as if he was in his own backyard. That loose devil guarding only woke up after a while. What happened just now? Dozing off. I am a loose devil, and I still doze off? Thinking back and forth, that loose devil was unable to recall what had actually happened just now. Meanwhile, Man Gone advanced with ease. Along the way, many loose devils even greeted Man Gone. Those loose devils even thought that Man Gone was some demonic cultivation expert. Only a few loose devils guarding the Inue Palace questioned Man Gone, and those loose devils all obediently let him pass, as if they had lost their souls. Just like that, Man Gone directly arrived at the current core palace of the Inue Palace, Blood Devil Hall. Blood Devil Hall? A first-level Devil King also dares to call himself Blood Devil. That is only showing off in the mortal realm. Man Gone stood outside the Blood Devil Hall and said with an indifferent smile. Man Gone's voice was not loud, but which of the people around and inside the Blood Devil Hall was not an expert? All the experts heard that voice, including that Devil Realm emissary inside the Blood Devil Hall, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. You actually dare to be impudent outside the Blood Devil Hall? Following a furious shout, a blood-red light shot towards Man Gone. A 12th Tribulation Loose Devil. Man Gone shook his head and smiled. Get lost. With a wave of his hand. With a mere wave of his hand, Wu Kong Shui, whose power had greatly increased after obtaining a finest grade devil equipment, spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire person powerlessly smashed onto the blood devil hole, and then fell onto the ground. Meanwhile, Lady Lian Yu, Wu Hei and the others who had rushed over afterwards and were prepared to take action were so frightened that they did not dare to move. Heavens, even Wu Kong Shui, whose power had increased by several times, was not a match for a single move. This person in front of them was really too strong. Who is making a racket outside? Are you looking for death? Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's tyrannical voice sounded, and a blood-red light appeared outside the Blood Devil Hall's main hall out of thin air. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun had been living like a prince during those days, and had been praised by countless loose devils. Naturally, he also had a kind of aura of a person in a superior position. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's fierce eyes revealed a red light, and he looked towards the dark-skinned man who was shamelessly boasting outside the Blood Devil Hall. You are Man Gone. Man Gone, it's actually you. Du Zhongjun was greatly shocked. Oh, I was wondering who the Devil Realm would send out. So it is actually you. It is also no wonder that the Devil Realm only has a few elites among the first-level Devil Kings. You are also considered not bad. Man Gone's face had a trace of a faint smile. Du Zhongjun narrowed his eyes. I did not expect that the Demon Realm's Beast Clan would actually be willing to send you out. Are they not worried that you would die in Ni Yang's realm? If you die, it would be a very big blow to the Beast Clan. Without power, even if I die, I cannot blame others. Man Gone said indifferently. As expected, the super divine beast Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King that is known as the strongest power. Among the super divine beasts of the Beast Clan, it seems that only the Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King is born with the power to command. To be willing to send you down to the mortal realm. That is really generous. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun could not help but sigh. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, as an elite that the Blood Devil Emperor valued highly, was still aware of some of the elite figures in the Demon Realm. In the Demon Realm, every super divine beast was of utmost importance. Sending a super divine beast down to the mortal realm was really terrifying. Moreover, it was the Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King that was known as the strongest martial power among the various super divine beasts. Lian Yu, quickly prepare the banquet. I want to have a good drink with Brother Man Gone. Du Zhongjun said to Lady Lian Yu who was at the side. Yes. Senior Blood Devil. Lady Lian Yu finally understood. This Man Gone should be the emissary of the Demon Realm. Moreover, it seemed that his martial power was especially strong, to the extent that it caused Blood Devil Du Zhongjun to unknowingly be at a disadvantage. I wonder if Brother Man Gone will give me this face? Du Zhongjun said with a smile. Of course I will. Man Gone said with a faint smile. If he could not make a move, Man Gone would also be too lazy to make a move. As a super divine beast that had descended to the mortal realm, that Demon Emperor naturally gave him an incredible treasure. After all, even if it was the Demon Emperor, he would also not dare to casually let a super divine beast Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King die. Moreover, Man Gone was also extremely confident. No matter if it was his own power, or the various weapons and battle armors, he definitely surpassed all the other emissaries. Of course, Man Gone also knew that every emissary had some ultimate moves. If he really went all out, even if he killed the other party, he would also be injured. That was why, if he could settle things without making a move, then he naturally would not need to make a move. At the banquet. Come, Brother Man Gone, cheers. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun laughed and raised his cup. Cheers. Man Gone also did not refuse anyone who came. After 3 rounds of wine, Man Gone put down his wine cup and said, Du Zhongjun, I believe that you should also have guessed my purpose for coming to your place this time. Let me ask you, how many people can that Sundering the Heavens diagrams bring into Ni Yang's realm? Do not lie, I can also obtain information from others. Lie. The super divine beast Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King was a type of super divine beast that the Immortal Realm and Devil Realm were most worried about. That temper was also extremely big. If it is friendly towards you, that is your fortune. If you dare to deceive, that furious and crazy purple-eyed bull demon king will let you know what is called a mad bull. Other than the owner of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, it can also bring 5 more people in. Du Zhongjun did not hide anything. That is equivalent to saying that this Sundering the Heavens diagrams of yours have 6 quotas to enter. 3 of those quotas belong to me. How about it? Mangon also did not waste any time, and directly said. Du Zhongjun was stunned. What a big appetite, to want 3 quotas in one go. Could it be that Du Zhongjun thinks that there is something wrong with my suggestion? Mangon asked in return. Du Zhongjun's heart suddenly jumped. A super-divine beast descending to the mortal realm would definitely have a finest-grade demon equipment. Perhaps, with the special status of a super-divine beast, the Beast Clan would be afraid that Mangon would die, and would very possibly bestow a precious low-grade divine equipment to him. That was also very hard to say. Du Zhongjun was very clear. Even if Mangon did not have a low-grade divine equipment, Mangon, who merely possessed a finest-grade demon equipment, was definitely not someone that Du Zhongjun could go against. A super-divine beast with the strongest martial power, even amongst super-divine beasts, dared to claim to have the strongest martial power. How could Du Zhongjun compare to the purple-eyed bull demon king, who was a level 1 demon king? No objections. Of course I have no objections. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said with a smile. Entering Ni Yang's realm is not about having more people, the most important thing is the experts. On my side of the loose devils, only Wukong Shui still has some assistance. The others would only be sending themselves to their deaths if they went. Just give 3 quotas to Brother Mangon, I am happy to sell this favor. Mangon smiled, raised his cup and said, Then I shall thank Brother Du. Come, let's drink. With a few words, the previously insufferably arrogant Du Zhongjun gave 3 quotas of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams to Mangon. Times when Qin De, Qin Feng and the others had hurried back from the Stellar Tower, they had met up with Qin Yu for a while. At that time, the loose immortals and loose devils had fought over the Sundering the Heavens diagrams on the Qianlong continent, causing the Qin dynasty to lose over 10 million people. However, fortunately, the army did not suffer any losses, so the Qin dynasty only moved the capital and made arrangements for the disaster victims, and did not suffer too many losses. During these days, Qin Yu was precisely living in the misty villa that he had lived in when he was young. Looking at the mountain paths of East Hazy Mountain, Qin Yu still remembered the time when he had undergone extreme training, and the situation of constantly running on the mountain paths. He still remembered soaking in the hot springs every day, and seeing those sandbags, bronze figures and pieces of bluestone on the training grounds. Recalling the days when he was young, the feeling was still very wonderful. Royal Father, eldest brother, second brother, you all can be at ease. Although this 9 from 9th heaven tribulation is dangerous, I also have quite a few treasures, and it is not impossible to pass this 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. Moreover, even if I fail, cultivating as a loose practitioner is nothing. On the misty villa, Qin Yu was currently bidding farewell to his family. Remember, if you really can't withstand the tribulation, cultivate as a loose practitioner. Don't try to be brave, understand? Qin De instructed again. No matter how strong his mental fortitude was, after knowing that his son was about to undergo the most dangerous 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, he could not help but worry. Royal Father, don't worry, I won't try to be brave. Qin Yu said with a smile. All right, Royal Father, eldest brother, second brother, Uncle Feng, Uncle Su. I'm going now, no need to send me off. Qin Yu turned his head to look at the Ink Qilin. Little Qilin, you are a 3rd tribulation loose demon. In the future, you will quietly cultivate and protect the Qin clan. If Royal Father sends a message to you, I hope that you will be able to help. The Ink Qilin said with a nod, Don't worry, Master, just based on the cultivation technique that you taught me, it's worth it for me to serve you. It's only 8 to 9,000 years. As long as I'm here, no one will be able to harm your family. Qin Yu nodded. Immediately, Qin Yu looked at his family. Don't look at me like that. I'm not going to die, and I'm not going to never come back. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Fei, Xiao Hei, let's go. Qin Yu really could not stand that kind of parting atmosphere. Immediately, his figure moved decisively, and he broke through the sky and left. Hou Fei, Kuro, and the 3 extreme ice lions also followed him and left the misty villa. Qin De, Qin Feng, Qin Zheng, Fenjiuzi, and the others watched Qin Yu and the others turn into dots in the sky, and they all silently wished them well. Chapter 271. Above the boundless sea, Qin Yu's group of 3 and the 3 extreme ice lions were flying in tandem. Let's go there. Qin Yu randomly chose an uninhabited island. Hou Fei and the others naturally didn't object. The 6 of them directly flew to the nameless island. Big brother. Hei Yu walked in front of Qin Yu and said solemnly, "There are still about 4 days until the day of the tribulation. In these few days, you'd better train well. This 9 heavenly tribulation is really very dangerous. If you're not careful, you might fail." Seeing Kuroa's solemn expression, Qin Yu smiled faintly. "Xiao Hei, don't worry. I'm confident that I can pass this 9 heaven tribulation. It's not a matter of confidence." Kuro was slightly anxious. This 9 heaven tribulation doesn't just require strength or soul realm. It also tests your heart. Heart. Qin Yu was puzzled. Hou Fei on the side said, "Yes, it's a test of heart. We didn't tell you before because we were worried that you would be anxious. After all, if we told you this, you wouldn't be able to prepare yourself. At least you'd have to pay attention to it." Master, heart, what heart? The second brother of the extreme ice lion, Shi Bing, was puzzled. "We also passed the 9 heaven tribulation, but why didn't it test our heart?" Hou Fei glanced at Shi Bing, then looked at Kuro in confusion. "Not good." Hou Fei's expression changed. "Mixed hairy bird, I have a very bad guess." "Me too." Kuroa's expression also darkened. Seeing his 2 brothers talking so inexplicably, Qin Yu was also puzzled. "Fei, Xiao Hei, what's the matter? Don't beat around the bush. Tell me clearly." "Big brother, let me first ask Shi Bing and the others about the process of transcending the tribulation. Then, I'll know if my guess is correct." After Hou Fei and Qin Yu finished speaking, they immediately looked at Shi Bing. "Shi Bing, tell me the process of your 9 heaven tribulation in detail." The 3 brothers, Shi Xin, Shi Bing, and Shi Zhan, were frightened by Hou Fei's solemn expression, but they still narrated in detail. "Master, the 9 heaven tribulation that day was divided into 9 bolts of tribulation lightning. The power of the first to the 8th bolt of tribulation lightning gradually increased, and there was a break between each bolt of tribulation lightning. Although the first 8 bolts of tribulation lightning became more and more difficult towards the end, I still managed to get through them. However, the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning actually contained heavenly fire. At that time, the heavenly fire and tribulation lightning attacked at the same time. The tribulation lightning was extremely powerful, and so was the heavenly fire. Fortunately, I had a magical artifact to protect me, so I was able to survive the 9 heaven tribulation." Shi Bing explained the process clearly. Qin Yu smiled. "It's not just the heavenly fire. The heavenly fire is just nourishment for me. With the Lord of Black Flame's ring, not only could it release heavenly fire, it could also absorb heavenly fire. Although the Lord of Black Flame's ring stored a lot of fire attribute energy, it wasn't endless. It still needed to absorb external fire attribute energy. However, when Hou Fei and Kuro heard this, their faces turned ugly. "Sure enough, it's just as I thought. Big brother, I also know that the power of the 9 heaven tribulation is different for different people. But at that time, I only thought that the power was different, and that it was just an increase in the power of tribulation lightning. But now, it seems that it's not that simple." Hou Fei and Kuro both looked at Qin Yu with some worry. "Speak clearly." Qin Yu frowned. Hou Fei nodded and said, "I just found a problem. The 9 from 9th heaven tribulation that Kuro and I faced was completely different from Shurexin and the others. If it was their 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, Kuro and I could definitely pass it easily. But, back then, Kuro and I almost failed the tribulation. Kuro also nodded and said, "Big brother, I heard it clearly just now. Although Shurexin and the others are also divine beasts, when they faced their 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, the first 8 bolts were only tribulation lightning. The 9th bolt was tribulation lightning and heavenly fire. Although it was already very dangerous, the monkey and I both had armor to protect ourselves, so we could easily withstand it. If it was at that level, the monkey and I would definitely pass it easily. But the truth is, the monkey and I almost failed. If not for Master's guidance and help, the monkey and I really might have to cultivate as loose demons." "Uncle Lon?" Qin Yu's heart stirred. Qin Yu said, "With Uncle Lan's help, I feel that Shurexin and the others 9 from 9 to heaven tribulation was already very dangerous. From what I know, the 9 from 9 to heaven tribulation that ordinary immortal and demonic cultivators face is only 9 bolts of tribulation lightning. That's the difference." Ho Fei said solemnly, "For ordinary immortal and demonic cultivators, their 9 from 9 to heaven tribulation is only 9 bolts of tribulation lightning. But for the extreme ice lions, the first 8 bolts are tribulation lightning, while the 9th bolt is tribulation lightning and heavenly fire. Kuro and I, however, are even more different." Qin Yu's heart stirred. He finally understood what Ho Fei and Kuro were talking about. People of different levels of power would have different levels of tribulation power. This difference wasn't just an increase in the power of tribulation lightning. Also, the types of tribulation were different. "Big brother." Kuro's face was solemn as well. "For Ho Fei and I, the first 6 bolts were tribulation lightning. The 7th bolt was tribulation lightning and heavenly fire. And the 8th bolt was tribulation lightning and the temptation of inner demons, which couldn't be seen at all." "Temptation of inner demons," Qin Yu said doubtfully. "Right, temptation of inner demons." Kuro said somewhat worriedly, "Big brother, this temptation of inner demons doesn't depend on how high your soul realm is. Rather, it tests your heart, or rather, seduces your heart and distracts you. Under the 8th bolt of tribulation lightning, once you get distracted, you'll end up dead." Ho Fei also said, "This temptation of inner demons is just a kind of illusion, an illusion that appears in your mind. But that illusion is really too realistic. Even if you know it's an illusion, maybe you'll be distracted by it. Once you're distracted, then..." Qin Yu also had a bit of a headache. This kind of non-material attack was sometimes even more threatening. Under the temptation of inner demons, once one got distracted, how could one resist the terrifying power of the 8th bolt of tribulation lightning? Qin Yu was startled awake as well. If the 8th bolt of tribulation was already so powerful, then what level would the 9th bolt of tribulation be? That's nothing at all. The most dangerous part is the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning. To tell the truth, the reason why the mixed hairy bird and I were able to overcome the 9th bolt of tribulation was completely because of Uncle Lan's help. If it was just me and the mixed hairy bird, there was no way we could have overcome it. Ho Fei seemed rather depressed. Qin Yu's heart trembled. Kuro nodded as well. "Back then, at the final moment, wasn't it because the cloud-piercing spear that Uncle Lon left for me sent a surge of energy into my body, allowing me to instantly become several times more powerful than I normally would have been? If that wasn't the case, how could I have withstood the 9th bolt of tribulation?" Qin Yu finally understood. Ho Fei and Kuro had always said that it was Uncle Lon who helped them. So it was because Uncle Lon had left a surge of energy in their weapons. How could Uncle Lon allow that surge of energy to enter your bodies so coincidentally when you were facing the 9th bolt of tribulation? Isn't that too much of a coincidence? Qin Yu found it hard to believe. Kuro and Ho Fei looked at each other and smiled. "Big brother, my master's divine ability has already reached an unfathomable level," Ho Fei said confidently. Kuro also nodded. "Big brother, the monkey and I have been cultivating in that mysterious place for over 100 years, while only a year has passed in the mortal realm. If Uncle Lon can bring us to that place, what can't he do? Qin Yu smiled. There was no need to think too much about Uncle Lan's miraculous abilities. In any case, without reaching that level, there were many things that couldn't be understood. Fei, Xiao Hei, what was your 9th bolt of tribulation like? Tell me in detail. Qin Yu was still concerned about the matter of the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. Ho Fei let out a long sigh. Xiao Hei and I faced the 9th bolt of tribulation about the same. To be honest, Xiao Hei and I didn't even know how many types of attacks there were in the 9th bolt of tribulation. But we do know that there were at least tribulation lightning, inner demons, and heavenly flames. Moreover, there were more than these 3 types. It's just that the 2 of us were in a life and death situation at that time and were completely stunned. If not for the surge of energy left behind by my master, we would have failed. Xian and his brothers were all dumbfounded. Tribulation lightning, inner demons, heavenly flames, and there were more than these 3 types of attacks. This 9th bolt of tribulation was just too terrifying. Big brother, to be honest, the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning, not to mention the other attacks, just that tribulation lightning alone was ridiculously powerful. Just that tribulation lightning alone was enough to seriously injure me and Xiao Hei to the point of death. There was also the temptation of the inner demons, the heavenly flames, and others. In short, Xiao Hei and I were completely stunned and muddle-headed. Our brains weren't working properly. Ho Fei smiled bitterly. Qin Yu's expression became serious. He could imagine that kind of scene. I think that within the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning, there should be some kind of bewitching technique that caused you to be muddle-headed. Qin Yu said. Although he guessed this point, Qin Yu became even more worried. Just Xiao Hei and Fei's 9 from 9th heaven tribulation alone, it was almost impossible for him to pass through it with his own strength. After all, the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning alone was ridiculously powerful, and there were all kinds of strange and unpredictable attacks. Big brother, this is only our 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. As for your 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, no one knows what it will be like. Ho Fei said. At this moment, Qin Yu recalled what Uncle Lon and Li Er had said before. Li Er and Uncle Lon had told him before that his 9 from 9th heaven tribulation would be very dangerous. What will my 9 from 9th heaven tribulation be like? Qin Yu looked up at the sky, but he didn't have the slightest confidence in his heart. The power of the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation depended on each person's strength. Qin Yu's strength was definitely not inferior to Ho Fei and Kuro's. The power of the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation was definitely not weaker than Ho Fei and Kuro's. Back then, Ho Fei and Kuro had the energy that Uncle Lon had left in their weapons to help them, but now that Uncle Lon had left, Qin Yu could only rely on himself. Hey, what's with your expressions? Don't worry, I won't be too careless. Once I feel that I can't withstand the danger, I'll immediately use the Sword Immortal Puppet. The Sword Immortal Puppet can only be considered as a doppelganger of mine, just like an immortal weapon. There won't be any problems if I use it to help. At this juncture, Qin Yu couldn't care less about being a hero. If an ordinary person were to undergo a tribulation with the help of others, it would instead increase the power of the tribulation, making it difficult for both of them. But using the Sword Immortal Puppet to resist didn't have that kind of trouble. After all, the Sword Immortal Puppet was taken in by Qin Yu with a drop of blood. It was equivalent to a peculiar immortal weapon. It could also be considered as his doppelganger. Yes, with the Sword Immortal Puppet, there shouldn't be much of a problem. Ho Fei and Kuro both said. But Ho Fei and Kuro were a little worried. Both of them knew the feeling of being in a daze when the 9th heaven tribulation descended. If they were to be in that state, who would control the Sword Immortal Puppet to help? They would probably forget that they were undergoing a tribulation at that time. Qin Yu also understood this point. But if he was completely in a daze, then his mental state would be too weak. Qin Yu was very confident in the firmness of his temperament. Moreover, his 9 from 9th heaven tribulation wasn't necessarily the same as Ho Fei and Kuro's. What would his 9 from 9th heaven tribulation be like? He would only know after passing it. Times these few days, Qin Yu was very relaxed. Sometimes he would look at some seabirds flying over the sea, and sometimes he would look at the splashing waves on the shore. Soon, the day of his tribulation arrived. On this day, Qin Yu sat cross-legged on an open space, quietly waiting for the arrival of the heaven tribulation. In the distance, Ho Fei, Hei Yu, Xin, and the other 2 spirit beasts were watching anxiously. Others were simply unable to help in transcending the tribulation. Unless you can reach the point of defying the heavens. It's finally here. Qin Yu suddenly stood up. He raised his head and looked to the sky. He saw that the sky seemed to suddenly sink. The originally blue sky suddenly sank and turned into a dark red like a boiler. The sky was low and the earth was high. An extremely oppressive feeling immediately pervaded the air. At the same time, the dark red sky formed a huge whirlpool. The heaven tribulation is here. Ho Fei, Kuro, and the others all became nervous. Like a fountain, lightning suddenly spurted out from the dark red sky. The amount of lightning was simply shocking. Countless lightning bolts were like streams of water that crazily gathered at the center of the whirlpool. Because there were too many lightning bolts, the entire space of thousands of li seemed to have been electrocuted. There were even some electric sparks in the air. Ho Fei and Kuro looked at each other, their faces somewhat pale. Just by looking at the amount and speed of the lightning bolts, as well as the momentum, it was even more terrifying than when the 2 of them were undergoing their tribulation. Although they were nervous for Qin Yu himself looked at the sky with a serious expression, his back perfectly straight. Chapter 272. No one knew what Qin Yu was thinking at the moment. However, what Ho Fei, Hei Yu and them were thinking was all revealed on their faces and in their eyes. Master, please rest assured. Although this 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation is powerful, from what Master said just now, and the situation of us 3 brothers, I think, no matter what, the first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning aren't that powerful, and the time between them is relatively long. So it's still very safe. Shi Bing whispered from the side. Ho Fei and Kuro couldn't help but laugh. We're a bit nervous. After going through the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation, we know how powerful it is. We're worried about our big brother, but we forgot that the first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning aren't that powerful. Ho Fei's expression also relaxed slightly. 9 bolts of tribulation lightning. Each bolt of tribulation lightning had a time to prepare. As the power of the tribulation increased, the time needed to prepare would become longer and longer. Boom! A sound as if heaven and earth were collapsing resounded. A powerful force suddenly pressed down from the sky, and the seawater within a radius of several thousand miles actually sank by nearly 10 meters. At that moment, the surrounding space seemed to have frozen. The whirlpool in the sky that had absorbed the endless lightning and various colored lights finally stopped spinning, forming the only floating cloud in the sky, tribulation cloud. Ho Fei, Kuro, Xin, Shi Bing, and Shi Zhan all held their breaths in the distance, not daring to breathe. The first bolt of tribulation lightning should be descending soon. Qin Yu, who had been standing for a while, frowned slightly. This 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation, why did the first bolt of tribulation lightning take so long? Logically speaking, the first bolt of tribulation lightning should descend very quickly. However, contrary to Qin Yu's expectations, he stood below for a long time, but the first bolt of tribulation lightning still didn't descend. Ho Fei, Kuro, and the others were also anxious. Why hasn't the first bolt of tribulation lightning descended? When I went through the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation, from the formation of tribulation clouds to the first bolt of tribulation lightning, it only took 10 breaths of time. But now it's almost 50 breaths of time. Ho Fei was also anxious. The longer the preparation time, the more nervous everyone was. The space within several thousand miles was completely silent, as if there was no sound at all. Even the sea within several thousand miles seemed to be suppressed, and there wasn't even a trace of wind or waves. Suddenly, very abruptly, a bolt of blue lightning flashed from the tribulation clouds and immediately smashed onto Qin Yu's head. When this bolt of tribulation lightning struck, there were no signs. Even Qin was caught unprepared. Fortunately, Qin Yu was prepared to use his body to take the first thunderbolt head-on. Being able to defeat a Dashang stage divine beast with his body alone, it is easy to imagine how powerful Qin Yu's body is. At the tribulation lightning tribulation lightnings. The tribulation lightning tribulation lightning at the same time, as the first bolt of tribulation lightning struck down, the pressure in the space within a radius of several thousand kilometers suddenly disappeared. The sea region that had not been affected by the slightest wind and waves suddenly rose with a height of tens of meters. The entire nameless island was washed by the waves. At the same time, strong winds blew, and even some of the tall trees on the island were bent. Sand and stones flew everywhere. The power of the first bolt of tribulation lightning is similar to what I imagined. The first bolt of tribulation lightning has passed, so the second bolt of tribulation lightning should take some time. Qin Yu knew that each bolt of tribulation lightning needed a break. Moreover, it took him a long time to wait for the first bolt of tribulation lightning. He didn't know how long it would take for the second bolt of tribulation lightning. Just as this thought appeared in Qin Yu's mind, boom! Another bolt of lightning struck Qin Yu's body without warning. Qin Yu's whole body trembled, and even his meridians and muscles were numb. So fast! Qin Yu was shocked. The second bolt of tribulation lightning and the first bolt of tribulation lightning were only a breath's time apart. Moreover, there were no warning signs when it came down, so no one had time to prepare. After the second bolt of tribulation lightning, a green light flashed in the sky, and a bolt of tribulation lightning much more powerful than the previous one struck Qin Yu's body. At this time, the roar sounded. This was the third bolt of tribulation lightning. However, in just a breath's time, a green dragon-like bolt of lightning shot down from the tribulation clouds. It was fine when it didn't come, but when it did, it was like a storm. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on with this tribulation? Ho Fei was about to go crazy. Damn it, when did the heavenly tribulation become like this? In the beginning, it had been accumulating power for so long, and then it just kept striking in one breath. One strike after another, it didn't even give people time to recover. Kuro was also furious, but they couldn't do anything. This 9 from 9th heaven tribulation was too strange. Logically, it should fall one bolt at a time, and then another one after a while. In this way, it would fall one after another intermittently. However, Qin Yu's 9 from 9th heaven tribulation didn't strike at all, but once it did, it struck one after another. The eldest of the extreme ice lions, Shurexien, also frowned. It's very strange. Normally, when the tribulation lightning strikes, there will be pressure, and it will accumulate power in the tribulation clouds for a while before striking down. This allows the person undergoing the tribulation to be prepared. However, Master's heavenly tribulations came one after another without any warning. Different treatment. The heavens treated normal people so easily, but why did it increase the difficulty for Qin Yu? Kuro's face was also cold. One bolt after another, not even giving people time to recover. Not to mention other things, just the power of 6 consecutive bolts of tribulation lightning is definitely not weaker than the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning. Ho Fei and the others felt indignant, but they were also very worried. At this moment, Qin Yu didn't care at all. On the contrary, he was leisurely thinking about why the tribulation was like this. 6 consecutive bolts of tribulation lightning, at most a breath's time between each one. This could be a disaster for other people undergoing the tribulation. But for Qin Yu, who had just withstood a bolt of tribulation lightning, the endless vitality in his body would instantly heal all his injuries. Such continuous strikes indeed have a very strong destructive power. If I didn't have vitality, after these 6 bolts of tribulation lightning, even if I didn't die, I would be seriously injured. But, why is the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation like this? I've never heard of anyone undergoing a tribulation like this in history. Qin Yu thought in his heart. Although the tribulation lightning was powerful, Qin Yu's physical body was too terrifying. After being transformed by Lu Xing's tears, Qin Yu's physical body had reached an astonishing level. Coupled with his astonishing vitality, from the first to the sixth bolt of tribulation lightning, Qin Yu didn't get hurt at all. Finally, the tribulation rested for a while. After the sixth bolt of tribulation lightning, the tribulation clouds began to slowly rotate again, and its volume began to gradually shrink. It seems that although my 9 from 9th heaven tribulation is powerful, it's only slightly stronger than Fei's and Xiao Hei's 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. The first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning weren't that powerful, they just struck continuously. This 7th bolt of tribulation lightning, if I'm not wrong, should contain a heavenly fire attack. Qin Yu thought to himself, Lord of Black Flame's ring, heavenly fire domain. With a thought, Qin Yu immediately activated the Lord of Black Flame's ring's heavenly fire domain. Just now, the first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning struck without any warning. From the tribulation clouds to my position, if the 7th bolt of tribulation lightning is the same, it's very likely that I won't make it in time to activate the heavenly fire domain. It's better to activate it early. After activating the heavenly fire domain, Qin Yu quietly waited for the 7th bolt of tribulation lightning to descend. Monkey. Kuro frowned slightly. Just now, after seeing the 6 bolts of tribulation lightning strike without any warning, I had a bad feeling. If the first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning were like this, how could the next 3 be simple? Ho Fei also nodded with a solemn face. Yes, how could it be simple? However, during the tribulation, others couldn't help at all. Qin Yu could only rely on himself. Mixed Hairbird, the worst-case scenario I thought of just now didn't happen. What I was most afraid of was that the 6th bolt of tribulation lightning contained a special attack. Now, it seems that Big Brother isn't much different from us. The first 6 bolts of tribulation lightning were all ordinary ones. From the 7th bolt of tribulation lightning, a special attack will appear. Ho Fei comforted. Although Qin Yu's 9 from 9th heaven tribulation was more dangerous than Ho Fei's, it wasn't that dangerous. Boom! This time, the entire tribulation cloud trembled. Blazing purple flames swam within the tribulation cloud. Soon after, a purple fire dragon descended from the sky, rapidly rushing towards Qin Yu. This was the 7th bolt of tribulation lightning. Qin Yu's eyes flashed. This thick purple fire dragon had a purple flame on the outside but a bolt of tribulation lightning on the inside. Absorb. A middle-grade immortal sword appeared in Qin Yu's hand. At the same time, the purple fire dragon rushed into the range of the heavenly flame domain. Instantly, the purple fire dragon was completely devoured by the heavenly flame domain. Only a portion of the tribulation lightning passed through the heavenly flame domain and struck Qin Yu's body. That bolt of tribulation lightning, which was partially damaged, struck Qin Yu's body. Only an electric snake flashed across Qin Yu's body. Immediately afterwards, the various cyan electric bolts dissipated. This 7th bolt of tribulation lightning is so weak? Qin Yu was puzzled. Although a portion of the tribulation lightning was used to charge through the heavenly flame domain, it was still the 7th bolt of tribulation lightning. Even if a portion of it was used, it should still be comparable to the power of the 6th bolt of tribulation lightning. However, Qin Yu felt that after a portion of the tribulation lightning was used, its power was even weaker than the 6th bolt of tribulation lightning. Furthermore, it was much weaker. Qin Yu's heart moved. He thought back to his own 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. During that 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, the first 5 bolts of tribulation lightning were ridiculously weak. However, most of the energy was gathered in the final bolt of tribulation lightning. That bolt of tribulation lightning had nearly turned Qin Yu into ash. Or perhaps, if not for Lu Xing's tear, Qin Yu would have been a loose cultivator back then. Could it be, this is the same? The 7th bolt of tribulation lightning is not that strong. The 8th bolt of tribulation lightning might not be that strong as well, and all the energy is gathered in the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning? Qin Yu's heart trembled. Under normal circumstances, the ninth bolt of tribulation lightning was ridiculously strong. If the heavens were to play this trick again, Qin Yu would have no choice but to risk his life and use the sword immortal puppet. After all, he would definitely not be able to withstand the tribulation lightning by himself. At this moment, the eighth bolt of tribulation lightning was accumulating in the sky. 1. The tribulation clouds swirled with light. Qin Yu felt dizzy. By the time he woke up, he was no longer on the island or in the sea. Instead, he was in Misty Villa. In the main hall of Misty Villa, Qin Yu saw his royal father, Qin De. Your big brother offended a loose cultivator and was killed. Qin De's face was filled with desolation. Big brother died? Qin Yu's face changed greatly. Suddenly, at this moment, Qin Yu's mind couldn't help but tremble. He had completely recalled everything. No, I'm undergoing tribulation. Qin Yu shook his head violently. However, just as Qin Yu woke up, the illusion dissipated. Qin Yu saw the bolt of tribulation lightning striking his body. Caught off guard, the bolt of tribulation lightning struck Qin Yu's head directly. Even if he had to take the tribulation lightning head-on, Qin Yu would not dare to use his head to take it head-on. Dizziness. This was the feeling of dizziness. In the instant his head was struck, Qin Yu thought. His soul was in his mind. If his soul was struck by the tribulation lightning, Qin Yu could not imagine what the result would be. The eighth bolt of tribulation lightning struck Qin Yu's head fiercely, causing cracks to appear on his skull. However, cracks appeared on his skull, but in the blink of an eye, they were repaired by the elemental life force. However, the cracks were repaired by the elemental life force again. Soul. Relying on the elemental life force to resist for a moment, Qin Yu immediately controlled his soul to merge with the planet in his dantian. Moments later, the eighth bolt of tribulation lightning dissipated. This eighth bolt of tribulation lightning wasn't too powerful, only slightly more powerful than the sixth bolt of tribulation lightning. Having withstood the eighth bolt of tribulation lightning, Qin Yu did not feel much joy. On the contrary, his heart felt heavy. The eighth bolt of tribulation lightning was as I expected. It wasn't too powerful. Qin Yu looked up at the tribulation clouds in the sky. What's going on? Why is this tribulation cloud so strange? Both the seventh and eighth bolts were not too powerful. Could it be that the tribulation cloud will concentrate all its energy on one bolt of tribulation lightning, and then give the person undergoing the tribulation the most powerful strike? Qin Yu really could not understand. He had never heard of such a thing in history. It was the same during the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, and now, the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation was the same. During the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, even with Li Er's help, Qin Yu's body was still split apart. In the end, he had to rely on Lu Xing's tears to recover. What about this 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation? Even if I know it's fake, I can't help but be affected by it. This ninth bolt of tribulation lightning has heavenly fire, mental demons, tribulation lightning, and some sort of bewitching attack. Qin Yu looked at the tribulation cloud, his heart feeling heavy. Suddenly, Qin Yu's face turned cold. To conserve energy and concentrate it on the last bolt of tribulation lightning, isn't this deliberately trying to kill me? But do you think I'll die just because you want me to? Sword Immortal Golem. Qin Yu willed it, and a grim-looking man with an immortal sword on his back appeared above Qin Yu's head. Chapter 273. In the boundless sea, on a nameless island, there is someone facing the 9 from 9-inch heaven tribulation. The seawater roars, slapping against the reefs, grinding them into a round shape. Ho Fei, Kuro, Shirexien, Shibing, and Shizhan stand together, watching Qin Yu face the tribulation, their faces full of worry. Seeing Qin Yu take out the sword immortal puppet, Kuro and Ho Fei's tense faces slightly relaxed. Gradually, the gale stopped, the roaring waves also calmed down, and an invisible pressure descended on the entire sea. In an instant, Ho Fei and the rest only felt that the entire world seemed to have lost all sound. It was extremely quiet, and also extremely oppressive. The aura was like a substance, constantly strengthening, the tribulation clouds constantly swirling and shrinking, but the aura was still constantly rising. After a long time, why hasn't the last tribulation descended? Ho Fei looks at the tribulation clouds that are constantly brewing in the sky and says angrily. At this moment, the terrifying aura even caused the ordinary animals on this nameless island to explode and die from the pressure. Kuro is silent, his eyes full of worry. Monkey, the power of this last tribulation will be unprecedented. Kuro says slowly. Qin Yu's eyes are shining, he has completely recovered to his peak state, and the sword immortal puppet is blocking above his head. Even if the tribulation were to strike, the sword immortal puppet would be the first to be attacked. Even if it would consume the sword immortal puppet's energy, Qin Yu can't care so much. Humph, it's still brewing, I want to see how powerful this last tribulation is. Qin Yu's gaze is like an ice blade, shooting straight at the tribulation clouds in the sky. Suddenly, in an instant, it is as if the sea has turned into mulberry fields, the stars have changed, Qin Yu's eyes and spiritual sense completely changed. Big brother Qin Yu. Li Er is standing in front of Qin Yu with a tranquil smile. Big brother Qin Yu, I'm back. With Uncle Lan's help, I finally convinced my father, he finally agreed to me. He agreed to be with you, to marry you. Seeing this scene, hearing this voice, the ice seal on his soul shattered with a bang. Is this an illusion? How Qin Yu wished that this wasn't an illusion. It's possible that this isn't an illusion. Even if it's an illusion, seeing Li Er again would be a kind of extravagant enjoyment. Suddenly, a feeling of dizziness completely engulfs Qin Yu's mind. The ninth heavenly tribulation will have an attack similar to the bewitching technique. Qin Yu had just thought of this when he fell into a muddle-headed state. Boom! This ferocious strike was like the collapse of the heavens and the earth. That tribulation cloud had completely transformed into a powerful lightning serpent and ruthlessly struck down. From top to bottom, it directly struck the body of the sword immortal puppet floating above Qin Yu. The sword immortal puppet was like a piece of scrap metal. After being struck by this strike, it directly fell down and smashed into Qin Yu's head. The sword immortal puppet is similar to an immortal artifact. It is unable to do anything on its own. Only when Qin Yu controls it will it react. But now, Qin Yu was in a muddle-headed state. The 9x9 elemental spirit array inside the sword immortal puppet only had a single piece of top-grade elemental holy rock. Without Qin Yu's control, the sword immortal puppet was simply unable to react or resist. Seeing the sword immortal puppet smash onto Qin Yu's head like a piece of scrap metal, Ho Fei and Kuroa's expressions changed. Oh no! Ho Fei's expression changed greatly. Big brother is now in a daze. He is unable to control the sword immortal puppet. Big brother. Kuroa's first reaction is to send a spiritual sense transmission to Qin Yu. But even so, Qin Yu did not respond at all. Times after being smashed on the head by the sword immortal puppet, Kuro, Ho Fei and company are unable to wake Qin Yu up with their spiritual sense transmissions. And when the ninth tribulation lightning strikes the sword immortal puppet's body, even though the sword immortal puppet did not expend any energy, it is still extremely tough. The tribulation lightning's energy flows onto Qin Yu's body, instantly shattering Qin Yu's body. And at the same time, the purple fire dragon, the black whirlwind and the tribulation lightning flew down, enveloping Qin Yu like lightning. In an instant, Ho Fei, Kuro and company can no longer see Qin Yu. Qin Yu has been completely enveloped by the purple fire dragon, the black whirlwind and the azure tribulation lightning, turning into a colorful cocoon of light. Big brother. Ho Fei and Kuro both instantly tremble, their eyes filled with fear. What happened to me? What happened? In his muddle-headed state, Qin Yu's thinking speed is extremely slow, as though he has forgotten his memories. It is difficult for him to remember anything. And at this moment, an ice-cold stream of light quickly envelopes Qin Yu's soul. Qin Yu instantly awakens. I'm still undergoing tribulation. Qin Yu's first reaction is to open his eyes, but Qin Yu discovers that he is unable to control his eyes at all, because his eyes have already turned to ash. Spiritual sense. Qin Yu immediately uses his spiritual sense to scan his surroundings. Even though he was prepared, Qin Yu is still greatly alarmed by his current state. His skin has long since been turned to ash by the tribulation lightning. Even his muscles have been charred black. At the same time, the elemental life force in his body is constantly growing new blood-red muscles. But in an instant, they are charred black by the lightning and the purple heavenly fire, just like charcoal. At the same time, a terrifying black whirlwind is constantly eating away at his body. Even though his elemental life force is healing him at lightning speed, nearly half of his body was still eaten away. At this moment, Qin Yu's soul is fusing with the sun core in his dantian. As for Lu Xing's tears, they are constantly flowing, emitting green dots of light that accelerate his body's recovery. The tribulation lightning, the heavenly fire, and the black whirlwind are all constantly destroying his body. As the elemental life force is constantly healing his body, Lu Xing's tears are doing their best to emit green rays of light. But even so, the speed of recovery can't keep up with the speed of destruction. Logically speaking, the power of the tribulation lightning, the heavenly fire tribulation, and the black wind tribulation should be able to destroy his body in the blink of an eye. But Qin Yu is relying on his elemental life force and Lu Xing's tears to constantly resist. Thus, his body is slowly being destroyed. By now, more than half of his body has been destroyed. As for the sword immortal golem, without anyone controlling it, it is like a piece of scrap metal, falling to the side, completely useless. Sword immortal golem. Qin Yu willed it. The sword immortal golem's eyes suddenly have color. Its right hand instantly reaches for the sword hilt on its back. At the same time, an astonishing sword aura appears. Ring of the Lord of Black Flame. The astonishing sword aura instantly covers Qin Yu's entire body, isolating him from the tribulation lightning, heavenly fire, and wind tribulation. As for the tribulation lightning, heavenly fire, and wind tribulation that had already entered Qin Yu's body, because of the lack of external replenishment, they are quickly exhausted. Whoosh! In the time it takes to take a breath, his originally damaged body is completely restored to its original state, completely undamaged. Under the erosion of the heaven-sundering sword aura, the energy of the tribulation lightning, heavenly fire, and wind tribulation is completely exhausted. The sword aura barrier dissipates, and the sword immortal golem is absorbed back into Qin Yu's body. Is it over? Qin Yu mutters in a low voice. Smelling the faint fishy smell in the air, and the wonderful feeling of the breeze brushing against his skin, and the sound of the waves gently hitting the reefs by his ears, Qin Yu raises his head towards the sky. The sky is azure blue, and white clouds are floating in the horizon, slowly moving towards the east with the breeze. Success. Qin Yu takes a deep breath. His heart is filled with excitement. Qin Yu still has some lingering fear when recalling the last strike. If he had awakened a little later, it is very likely that his entire body would have been destroyed, including the planet in his dantian. If his elemental life force and Lu Xing's tear were to recover a little slower, he would have died as well. Haha, I knew Big Brother would succeed. Ho Fei's figure flashes and appears in front of Qin Yu, laughing and laughing. However, his eyes are filled with incomparable excitement. Kuro looks at Qin Yu, his eyes are filled with uncontrollable excitement. Mixed hair bird, look at you. Haha, I already said, this 9 from 9th heaven tribulation is nothing to Big Brother. Big Brother's hair is still intact. Ho Fei says with a laugh. Kuro also calms down slightly, looking at Ho Fei, he says coldly, "Oh? Just now, when the 9th heaven tribulation struck, it seems like a certain monkey is about to cry." Who is crying? Ho Fei hurriedly says. Kuro doesn't say anything, but the slightly upturned corner of his mouth shows that Kuro is secretly laughing. This makes Ho Fei even angrier. Alright, stop fooling around. Qin Yu smiles and puts his arm around the shoulders of his two brothers. Fei, Xiaohei, to be honest, I was almost done for just now. My 9th heaven tribulation, in addition to the heaven fire, heart demon temptation, and soul hypnosis, the power of the tribulation lightning is also very terrifying. Also, my ninth heaven tribulation has an additional mysterious wind tribulation. That dark whirlwind is even more powerful than the heaven fire. Qin Yu's heart trembles when he thinks of that dark whirlwind. That whirlwind has an amazing devouring ability. Even with his strong body, he was still quickly devoured. Fortunately, his elemental life force is constantly recovering. Dark whirlwind? Hou Fei frowns. Kuro is silent for a moment, then says, "Could it be? Black oblivion wind? Black oblivion wind?" Qin Yu is puzzled. Kuro nods and says, "In my inherited memories, this wind is divided into many types. Black oblivion wind is one of the more powerful winds. It exists in some places in the Fiend Realm and Fiend Realm. Even hard ores would turn to dust in the face of black oblivion wind." Qin Yu nods to himself. His body, in terms of toughness, is definitely not inferior to a supreme-grade spirit artifact, but even his body is so easily destroyed. Perhaps, even ordinary low-grade immortal artifacts would not be able to withstand this black oblivion wind. Hou Fei giggles and says, "Big brother, this black oblivion wind is a treasure in the eyes of the people of the upper realm." Treasure? Qin Yu is puzzled. Can this black oblivion wind be taken for one's own use? Hou Fei shakes his head and says with a smile, "No, it is very difficult to take the black oblivion wind for one's own use. But generally, places with black oblivion wind have extremely good ores. Those ores can be casually refined into demon artifacts." Qin Yu immediately understands. Haha, yes, under the constant attack of the black oblivion wind, ordinary rocks and ores would have long turned to dust. Which ores that can exist, which one of them is bad? Even if they are not refined, the hardness of those ores is no less than that of ordinary low-grade immortal artifacts. Once refined, their power will be even greater. Kuro nods and says, "Indeed, where the black oblivion wind constantly attacks, it is much easier to extract ores. There is no need to eliminate anything at all, because the ores that can exist under the black oblivion wind are not bad ores." Kuro and Hou Fei both have inherited memories. These inherited memories are not only some mystical techniques, but also some information from various realms and so on. The black oblivion wind actually appeared in my 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. The heavens really think highly of me. Qin Yu shakes his head and smiles bitterly. Just now, when I directly released so much sword chi to form a shield, it consumed a lot of supreme-grade elemental holy ores. This is terrible. Qin Yu sweeps it with his holy sense. After the battle at Mount Qingshu, the sword immortal puppet's supreme-grade elemental holy ores only had 80% of its energy left. Just now, in order to protect Qin Yu, it consumed another 20% of its energy. Now, it only has 60% of its energy left. This 60% of its energy is at most enough to use the 8th move of the heaven-sundering sword art. 60% of its energy, in addition to Zhongju and Uncle Lan's fame, it should be enough to deter those Ascendant Realm emissaries. Qin Yu thinks to himself. After passing the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, Qin Yu's mind is completely focused on the auction that will be held in 2 months. This auction is very important to Qin Yu. After all, supreme-grade elemental holy ores are what Qin Yu needs the most right now. With every extra piece of supreme-grade elemental holy ores, Qin Yu's trump card will be a bit more powerful. Big brother, you should have also entered the late Dujie stage, right? What does the stellar transformation technique look like after entering the late Dujie stage? Hou Fei's voice awakens Qin Yu from his thoughts. Late Dujie stage? Qin Yu pauses, then immediately uses his holy sense to carefully observe the state of his body. After successfully passing the tribulation, Qin Yu still hasn't carefully observed his current state. In his dantian, the volume of the sun's nucleus inside the green planet has already increased by a bit. To be precise, the volume of the sun's nucleus has already taken up more than half of the green planet's volume. Qin Yu is very clear that when the entire green planet becomes the nucleus of the sun, he will enter the stellar stage. After this 9 from 9th heaven tribulation, Qin Yu's body has been destroyed and reborn again and again in the tug-of-war between the tribulation lightning, wind tribulation, heavenly fire tribulation, elemental life force, and Lu Xing's tears. After going through countless tempering, the toughness of his body has greatly increased. What's the big change? Hou Fei asks again. There's no big change, but the toughness of my body has increased by a lot. Qin Yu smiles and says, Okay, Fei, Xiaohei, let's immediately go to Golden Tree Island, then use the ancient transfer array to reach Snowfish Island. The day of the Heaven Sundering Diagram auction is not far away. Auction the Heaven Sundering Diagram? Hou Fei smiles mischievously and says, Okay, let's let the higher realm emissaries compete one by one. Whoever has the most top-grade elemental holy ore, we'll give it to them. Hou Fei and Kuro both know the secret of the Sword Immortal Puppet, and also know that the Sword Immortal Puppet's energy needs top-grade elemental holy ore. Only with more top-grade elemental holy ore can the Sword Immortal Puppet's attack power increase. Right, let's get their top-grade elemental holy ore, and then use the Sword Immortal Puppet's strength to deal with them. Qin Yu smiles. Okay, let's go. Qin Yu is the first to turn into a stream of light and fly towards the south. Hou Fei, Kuro and the others also follow Qin Yu towards the south. Chapter 274. Snowfish Island was covered in snow all year round. It had a radius of several thousand li. In the center of the island, there was a small mountain that was several li long and several hundred meters tall. At the peak of this small mountain was a lake. Within the lake were snow-white fish, snowfish. At the same time, beside this snowfish lake was an ancient transportation array. With a flash of light, Qin Yu's group appeared within the transportation array. Master, the scenery of this snowfish island is not bad. Xian smiled behind Qin Yu and said, letting the emissaries of the upper realm compete for the Heaven Sundering Diagram here can be considered their good fortune. Since Xian was Qin Yu's spirit beast, he naturally stood on Qin Yu's side. Spirit beasts could be considered the most loyal. Firstly, if they were not fully convinced, they could not become a spirit beast. Secondly, once the spirit beast collar fused with the spirit beast, no matter how powerful you were, if you dared to have the slightest thought of betraying your master, the master would know. Hou Fei also smiled slyly and said, I just don't know how many top-grade elemental holy ore they have. Seeing that they have so many top-grade immortal equipment and top-grade demon equipment, the number of top-grade elemental holy ore should not be too little. Big brother, this Sword Immortal Puppet has 9 top-grade elemental holy ore. Its attack power should be at its highest, right? Kuro said. Yes, 9. Qin Yu nodded, then smiled and said, However, to defeat those emissaries, they do not need too many top-grade elemental holy ore. Of course, this is under the condition that those emissaries of the upper realm do not use their hidden trump cards. Qin Yu was not an idiot. Using his brain a little, he knew that the leaders of the major powers behind the emissaries of the upper realm would not give them some extremely terrifying trump cards. For example, the Thousand Thunder Crushing Talisman. With the power of the Thousand Thunder Crushing Talisman, even if Sword Immortal Hua Yen used it, its power would be extremely terrifying. Times, Senior Zong, I am Qin Yu. Qin Yu began to send a message to Zong Ju. Since they were preparing for the auction, they needed to at least build some buildings. They could not let a large group of experts sit on the snow. Also, there needed to be people to receive the people of the major powers. All of these required manpower. Firstly, the Stellar Pavilion's manpower was too weak to be brought out. Secondly, they did not have the strength to pass through the ancient teleportation array. Therefore, Qin Yu was prepared to let Zong Ju provide manpower. It's little brother Qin Yu, right? Last time you said you had something to do, did you go to the 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation? Zong Ju had already seen that Qin Yu's cultivation had reached the mid-stage of crossing tribulation, so he naturally guessed it in his heart. Yes, it's the 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation. The power of this 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation is truly outrageous. Qin Yu transmitted and sighed. Qin Yu's sigh reminded Zong Ju of his own 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation. Yes, the power of the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation is indeed outrageous. Back then, when I faced the final blow of the 9 from 9 heavenly tribulation, I was actually completely dazed. Fortunately, I managed to regain my senses in the end and risked my old life to abandon my physical body, only allowing Yuanying to escape. That's why I became a loose demon. Right, Qin Yu, did you succeed in your tribulation? Zhongju inquired. When Qin Yu heard Zhongju's words, he knew that when Zhongju was facing the 9 from 9 to heaven tribulation, he also suffered an attack similar to the bewitching technique. I succeeded, but I was very lucky. Qin Yu transmitted. You're a human, the power of your 9 from 9th heaven tribulation shouldn't be too great. Feng Tian and I are both super divine beasts. The power of our 9 from 9th heaven tribulation was outrageous. If you encountered it, I reckon. Zhongju said until here and didn't continue. However, Zhongju simply didn't think that a human's tribulation would be more terrifying than a super divine beast's. And Qin Yu also didn't make any more excuses. Yes, I'm still very lucky. If not for my luck, I'm afraid I would also have to cultivate as a loose cultivator. Indeed, if he didn't have the vitality and Lu Xing's tears. In the end, when his body was destroyed, if Qin Yu couldn't recover his body, he would still have to cultivate as a loose cultivator. Fortunately, Qin Yu had Lu Xing's tears and vitality to recover his body. Senior Zhong, this time I'm looking for you regarding the auction of the Heaven Sundering diagram. My martial uncle Lan Feng urgently needs top-grade elemental holy ores. He will also arrive at Snowfish Island in a few days. Qin Yu hurriedly got down to business. Your martial uncle is also coming? That's right, for such an important matter, he should also come. Zhongju transmitted. That's right, what about Senior Lan? Will he appear this time? In Zhongju's heart, he still respected Uncle Lan very much. Uncle Lan, he's in seclusion. You also know that at his level, no one knows how long this seclusion will take. Only my martial uncle knows the location of his seclusion. His seclusion can't be casually disturbed, but if something big happens, you can still ask martial uncle to invite Uncle Lan. Qin Yu fabricated a false situation. Uncle Lan? He was long gone from this world, but outsiders didn't know about this. Qin Yu could still use Uncle Lan's fame to intimidate some experts. Seclusion, at Senior Lan's level, seclusion for 100 years or even 1,000 years is very normal. Since Senior Lan is in seclusion training, Qin Yu, if you have something you must not disturb Senior Lan. If you have something that you cannot solve, then come and find me for help. If I am truly unable to solve it, then it would not be too late to find Senior Lan. Zhongju said via transmission. Zhongju really respected Uncle Lan as his own senior. Thank you so much, Senior Zhong. Qin Yu secretly rejoiced. It seemed Uncle Lan's position in Zhongju's heart was very high. Senior Zhong, Snowfish Island will soon hold the auction of the Heaven Sundering diagram. At that time, all the emissaries from the upper realm will be present. My martial uncle asked me to host this auction, but I don't have many subordinates, so it will be a bit difficult to host. Zhongju understood Qin Yu's meaning. Haha, good, I know what you mean. Tomorrow, I will lead hundreds of experts from the chaotic astral ocean to Snowfish Island. I will send people to do all the welcoming work. You only need to prepare for the auction. Qin Yu felt a burst of joy in his heart. If that's the case, I will be much more relaxed. Thank you so much, Senior Zhong. What are you thanking me for? You gave me the opportunity to enter Ni Yang's realm. I haven't thanked you yet. Zhongju laughed. At this time, Qin Yu thought of his own Lord of Black Flame Ring. The Lord of Black Flame Ring could bring a total of 9 people, including the user. His side only had 3, and Zhongju's side only had 2 or 3. How could he use the remaining quota? He couldn't waste it. Time passed quickly. Not long after Qin Yu arrived at Snowfish Island, hundreds of loose practitioners majestically appeared on Snowfish Island. This group of loose immortals were all very powerful, and the weakest one was at the 6th tribulation realm. There were quite a few at the 12th tribulation, and the leader was the overlord of the chaotic astral ocean, Zhong-ju. Senior Zhong. Qin Yu led the 6 people to welcome him. Ha, Qin Yu, Ho Fei, and Kuro, right? Zhong-ju's face unexpectedly had the kind appearance of an elder. Zhong-ju had a very good impression of Qin Yu and his 2 brothers. Qin Yu naturally didn't need to be mentioned, and Ho Fei was a fiery-eyed water ape, so Zhong-ju naturally looked at him differently. As for Kuro, Zhong-ju's heart had a trace of a strange feeling. Zhong-ju's expression made some of the loose practitioners behind him feel very surprised. The cold and tyrannical Zhong-ju actually had such a side to him. Senior Zhong. Kuro respectfully said. Good. Zhong-ju smiled and nodded. Lian Xiao, go and arrange for a few simple courtyards to be built beside Snowfish Mountain. They don't need to be too luxurious. Yes, big brother. Lian Xiao bowed and said. At the same time, Lian Xiao winked and smiled at Qin Yu. Qin Yu and Lian Xiao's family still had some friendship. Brother Qin Yu. Lian Chong also ran forward. Lian Chong, it's you. Qin Yu's face was filled with joy. Just now, Lian Chong had rushed into the crowd of several hundred loose practitioners, so Qin Yu really didn't notice him. Uncle, let them take care of the construction work. I'm going to have a good chat with Brother Qin Yu. Lian Chong greeted. Zhong-ju nodded and didn't refuse. The arrival of Zhong-ju's group made the entire Snowfish Island very lively. The more people there were, the more different it was. In just a few days, several hundred loose practitioners had built 5 huge courtyards according to the east, west, north, south, and center. Among them, the central courtyard was the largest. In the main hall of the central courtyard, Qin Yu, Ho Fei, Kuro, Zhong-ju, Lian Xiao, Hu Yi, Fu Yunzi, and Shibian's 2 brothers were all present. East, west, south, north, east, west, and north courtyards. Our people are living in the east, west, and north courtyards. Only the south courtyard is empty. The south courtyard can accommodate at most 200 to 300 people. In the future, when the dragons, loose immortals, loose devils, and demons come, we'll let them live in the south courtyard. Lian Xiao explained from the side. Qin Yu frowned. 200 to 300 people? Just the south courtyard is enough for the people of various powers to live in? The second master of the Ravengale Island, Shibian, said carelessly, Little brother Qin Yu, why do you care so much? In any case, it's just a big courtyard. If the number of people coming is small, they can safely live in it. If a large group of people can't live in it, it's none of our business. Right, in any case, we'll just divide it casually. If they can't live in it, they'll deal with it themselves. The first master of the Ravengale Island, Shibian, also agreed. Qin Yu smiled and didn't say anything. Zhong-ju smiled and said, The central courtyard is still quite spacious. Let the leaders of various powers live in the central courtyard and let their subordinates live in the south courtyard. If they can't live in it, let their subordinates sleep in the open. It's enough to entertain the leaders. Who cares about the subordinates? Senior Zhong, there's still half a month until the last day of the year. During this time, there should be people coming one after another. I'll have to trouble Senior Zhong's people to help entertain them. Qin Yu said with a smile. Don't worry, I've already arranged for 100 people to receive them. Zhong-ju smiled. Right, Qin Yu, where's your junior martial uncle? Didn't you say he'd come for the auction of the heaven-sundering diagram? Qin Yu nodded and said, Yes, junior martial uncle should arrive in 2 or 3 days. But Senior Zhong, my junior martial uncle's personality is a bit strange. He usually keeps his mouth shut and doesn't talk to anyone unless it's a big matter. Sword Immortal Lan Feng was actually his Sword Immortal puppet. If there were always people looking for his Sword Immortal puppet to chat, wouldn't Qin Yu be so busy that he would never be able to relax? Although it was said that he was chatting with Sword Immortal Lan Feng, in reality, Every word was said after careful consideration by Qin Yu. "Oh, most experts are a bit arrogant. Don't worry, I won't let anyone disturb him." Zhongju nodded and said, Times Qing Su Mountain, Heavenly Palace. This time, no matter what, I must obtain the heaven-sundering diagram." Hua Yan suddenly stood up. "Ming Liang, prepare the troops, we're leaving immediately." Hua Yan's order was sent out from Heavenly Palace. In just a moment, more than 600 loose immortal experts majestically flew out of Qing Su Mountain. Under the leadership of Sword Immortal Hua Yan and Reverend Ming Liang, they quickly rushed towards Snowfish Island. In addition to Sword Immortal Hua Yan's side, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also brought a large number of subordinates and rushed towards Snowfish Island. These emissaries all knew that even if the auction had not yet begun, their presence would be the strongest. Therefore, any emissary would bring a large number of subordinates. Sword Immortal Hua Yan, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King Man Gone, as well as the mysterious Dragon Clan emissary and the Dragon Clan Patriarch. Each of the super experts brought their subordinates and rushed towards Snowfish Island from all directions. Snowfish Island's entire silent island, however, became unprecedentedly lively. On Snowfish Island, one by one, the loose practitioners stood in the air. Sword Immortal Lan Feng and Zhong Ju stood at the very front. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Lian Xiao, Hu Yi and the others stood behind Sword Immortal Lan Feng and Reverend Ming Liang. Because they had already discovered the arrival of the first batch of guests, they naturally had to welcome them. "The Immortal Realm emissary has arrived." A 10th Tribulation Loose Demon's voice rang out. Sword Immortal Lan Feng and Zhong Ju immediately looked towards that direction. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face was full of smiles. Accompanied by Reverend Ming Liang, he brought a large group of loose immortals and flew over. "Haha, it really is Lan Feng. Brother Lan Feng, you are actually willing to auction off this Sundering the Heavens diagrams. You really surprised me." Sword Immortal Hua Yan laughed from afar. In Hua Yan's eyes, Zhong Ju could only be considered an expert, but not an existence that could rival him. But Lan Feng, this mysterious sword immortal, made Hua Yan regard him as a great enemy. "Brother Hua Yan, don't say any more. Auctioning off the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, I also hesitated over and over again." Lan Feng had a regretful look. Just as he finished speaking, Lan Feng, Zhong Ju, Hua Yan and the others all looked towards the direction of Snowfish Island's ancient teleportation array. At that moment, that ancient teleportation array was constantly flashing with rays of light, and groups of people were constantly emerging from the teleportation array. "The Demon Realm emissary has arrived." A loose practitioner who had been arranged there immediately said in a clear voice. His voice resounded throughout Snowfish Island. Just as Du Zhongjun said, the Demon Realm actually sent him. Hua Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Ha ha. Brother Man Qian, I really didn't expect that you would also descend to the mortal realm." Hua Yan greeted him as if he had met a good friend. "Man Qian." Qin Yu's heart trembled, and looked at the nearby Hou Fei and Kuro. The three brothers were all puzzled, and couldn't help but look towards the direction of the Demon Realm emissary. Chapter 275. Wearing a purple battle armor, the complicated lines on it emitted a terrifying aura. It was obvious that this was a very powerful battle armor. That pair of bright tiger eyes, when closed, seemed to burst with lightning. That broad and firm chest gave people a feeling of sturdiness. That familiar aura, that familiar appearance, and that familiar smile. Man Gone. It was the Man Gone that Qin Yu and his brothers had met in that restaurant. At that time, I felt that this Man Gone was an expert, and thought that he was some super loose demon of the ancient demon race. Who would have thought that he was actually an emissary of the demon realm? Qin Yu secretly praised in his heart. The ancient said that people need clothes. This Man Gone wearing such a domineering battle armor, his aura is obviously different. Qin Yu stood behind Sword Immortal Lan Feng and Zhong Ju, looking at the distant Man Gone. Behind Man Gone was a lean male wearing black battle armor. It was the ruler of the ancient wilderness, Yu Liang. Beside Yu Liang were the three great demons of the ancient wilderness, Kong Chao, Xing Shou, and Wu Shan. Currently, these four great experts all had exceptional treasures from the demon realm. Hua Yan, the immortal realm's sovereign Yu actually sent you. It seems that you are highly valued by sovereign Yu. Man Gone said with a slight smile. Sword Immortal Hua Yan smiled. Among the numerous level 1 golden immortals, Sovereign Yu sent me alone because he recognized my strength. Since Sovereign Yu sent me, I naturally will not weaken Sovereign Yu's prestige, and will also not disappoint Sovereign Yu. Hua Yan's aura did not yield in the slightest. However, I am very curious. I do not know what those demon emperors of the demon realm are thinking, to actually be willing to send you. I really do not know if you lose your little life in Ni Yang's realm. How big of a shock would the beast race of the demon realm experience? Hua Yan sighed. Man Gone's mouth slightly curled. You do not need to worry about this matter. It is not me who is worried. Hua Yan continued. Presumably Man Gone, you also know that Ni Yang's realm is the lair of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, ah. You should also know of the legend of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. His lair, if one is not careful, even a mystic immortal will not survive after entering. Qin Yu's eyelids twitched behind him. A mystic immortal will not survive after entering? As expected, this Ni Yang's realm is full of dangers. Looks like my decision back then was still correct. Although Qin Yu had the map to Ni Yang's realm, he had never entered it. Because, once the three of them went alone, Qin Yu had no confidence that he would be able to pass through the numerous dangers in Ni Yang's realm. He might even implicate his own brothers. As for following the emissaries of the various realms, they must have prepared some secret treasures to deal with all kinds of situations. It would be much safer to follow these people in. Of course I know about the dangers of Ni Yang's realm. Hua Yan, don't tell me you don't know that danger and opportunity coexist? A glint of wisdom flashed across Man Gone's eyes. You should also know about the treasures within Ni Yang's realm. If it were not for that treasure making Emperor Yu go crazy, why would he spend so much effort to open up the passageway between the two realms? Hua Yan smiled faintly. Likewise. Hua Yan's meaning is clear. Aren't the demon emperors of your demon realm also coveting that treasure? Qin Yu carefully listened to every word that the two of them said. The legend of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang? The treasure that moved the hearts of Emperor Yu and other important people of the three realms? When Qin Yu heard that, he already had some conjectures in his heart. This Immortal Emperor Ni Yang must have had an incredible opportunity in the higher realms. He must also have an absolute treasure that would make all the super immortal emperors, demon emperors, and devil emperors go crazy. Even if Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had died, how could he let others obtain his treasures so easily? Even the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion had 3 pieces of Sundering the Heavens diagrams, and had so many dangerous restrictions. Then, what about Ni Yang's realm? This is... Man Gone suddenly looked towards Sword Immortal Lan Feng, with a puzzled look. Don't look at Man Gone's puzzled appearance at that moment. In reality, he was extremely shocked in his heart, because he was actually unable to detect the strength of this mysterious sword immortal in front of him. One must know that Man Gone was a super divine beast. He also had some special methods to detect other people's strength. Sword Immortal Hua Yan introduced, Man Gone, this is the organizer of this auction, Sword Immortal Lan Feng. This Sundering the Heavens diagrams are also his. Brother Lan Feng's strength is extremely impressive. Even I do not have the slightest certainty of facing Brother Lan Feng. However, Brother Man Gone's strength is outstanding. Do you have the confidence to defeat Brother Lan Feng? Qin Yu, who was at the back, frowned. Wasn't this Hua Yan trying to sow discord between Lan Feng and Man Gone? Lan Feng glanced at Hua Yan, and immediately smiled. Although I am interested in Ni Yang's realm, it is not too great. Otherwise, I would not have auctioned off the Sundering the Heavens diagrams. Once we enter Ni Yang's realm, there will still be a few people competing for the treasures of Ni Yang's realm. As for Brother Man Gon's strength is outstanding. I also admit that I am inferior. Brother Lon Feng is too modest. Man Gon smiled slightly. Although Man Gon relied on his status as a super divine beast, and could even win against a level 2 golden immortal sword immortal, he did not have any confidence in Lon Feng, who he could not see through at all. Everyone, it is better to first enter the courtyard. It is not too late to chat after we have entered. Zhongju spoke out. Man Gon glanced at Zhongju, and his eyes could not help but brighten. Oh, you are Zhongju, right? As expected, your surname is Zhong. Brother Qin Yu. Man Gon suddenly saw Qin Yu and the other two behind Zhongju, and immediately laughed. Qin Yu, Ho Fei, and Kuro, ha. I did not expect that after parting at that restaurant in the Hidden Dragon Continent, I would be able to meet you here today. That day, I felt that you all were not ordinary people. Who would have thought that we would meet here today? Qin Yu and the other two smiled and nodded in greeting. Brother Man Gon, you also know my martial nephew? Ha ha. Brother Man Gon, you must build a good relationship with my martial nephew. The upcoming auction of the Sundering the Heavens diagrams will be managed by my martial nephew. He can give the Sundering the Heavens diagrams to whoever he wants. I have completely given my martial nephew the authority. Sword Immortal Lon Feng laughed. Man Gon's eyes brightened. Oh, Brother Lon Feng's meaning is, if Qin Yu is willing, even if the highest grade elemental spirit stones are less, he can still give the Sundering the Heavens diagrams to that person? Man Gon asked in return. Yes. Lon Feng nodded. The faces of Hua Yen and the others changed. Qin Yu smiled and said, Young martial uncle, you have given the authority of the auction to me. How can I be so casual? Since it is an auction, I will naturally give it to whoever offers the most highest grade elemental spirit stones. No matter what, I cannot so casually abuse my authority. Good. Man Gon patted Qin Yu on the shoulder. Well said. When the time comes, whoever offers the most highest grade elemental spirit stones, this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will belong to that person. Hua Yen also secretly sighed in relief. Times in the next few days, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also led his troops to Snowfish Island, while the Dragon Clan side was the last to arrive. In the Southern Manor. Get out, this is the place where we Dragon Clan live. You loose devils actually dare to occupy our place. You are courting death. An angry roar sounded, and several figures were thrown out like sandbags. One by one, strong and large men walked out, coldly looking at the loose devil's side of several tens of troops. The Southern Manor was divided into 4 small areas, for the loose immortals, loose devils, ancient desolate demons, and Dragon Clan's troops to live in. Each area was enough for 50 to 60 people to live in, but each of the major powers brought at least a few hundred people. Such a large place, how could they live in it? The loose immortals side still abided by the rules, only living in their own small area. The rest of the loose immortals who did not have a place to live could only build their own small courtyards outside. The ancient desolate demon side was very arrogant, directly occupying 2 of the 4 small areas. Moreover, this action was approved by Man Gon, the overbearing Man Gon. When Blood Devil arrived and saw this scene, he also felt a headache. He did not want to directly confront Man Gon, so he let some of his own experts live in the last area. The Southern Manor had a total of 4 areas, 1 for the loose immortals, 2 for the ancient desolate demons, and 1 for the Blood Devil. The Dragon Clan came, but there was no place to live. How could the Dragon Clan not be angry? The 10th Tribulation and 11th Tribulation Dragon Clan experts immediately joined forces, directly throwing out the loose devil experts. It should be known that the loose devil experts all lived in the Central Manor with Blood Devil, while the strongest in the Southern Manor was only the 10th Tribulation. The loose devil side was naturally trampled. Within the Central Manor, those who lived were all super experts, the leaders of each party. The loose devil side had Blood Devil and a few others, the loose immortal side had Hua Yen and a few others, the ancient desolate demon side had Man Gon and a few others, the Dragon Clan's experts, as well as Master Zhongju, Lan Feng, Qin Yu and a few others. The central manor was the largest, but on the contrary, it had the least people. Within the courtyard where Lan Feng lived. "Brother Lan Feng, there's a fight over there, a fight, haha." Zhongju walked in. "Little brother Qin Yu is also here, haha, I must tell you this joke." Qin Yu and Lan Feng looked at each other, then Lan Feng spoke, "Brother Zhong, tell me, what kind of joke is it?" Zhongju nodded and said, "Do you still remember? At that time, we only gave the southern manor to the subordinates of each party to live in. At the same time, we divided the southern manor into 4 areas. Now, the loose immortals occupy 1 area, the ancient desolate demons occupy 2 areas, and the loose devils occupy 1 area. The Dragon Clan's people came and directly threw out the loose devils' people." "Throw it out." Qin Yu opened his eyes wide. Zhongju also laughed. "Yes, now the Dragon Clan's emissary, as well as Blood Devil Du Zhongjun and others have all arrived at the central manor. It seems that they are all fighting for a place to live. No one is willing to give way. The auction hasn't started yet, but they are already fighting." Qin Yu smiled. Zhongju nodded and said, "They actually don't care about a place to live, only. They are now trying to suppress each other, otherwise Mangon would not be so overbearing as to let the ancient desolate demons occupy 2 areas. What they are fighting for is face. The emissaries all represent important people from different realms. If they are weak, wouldn't they be losing face for the people behind them? Mangon is also overbearing. One person occupies 2 large areas, but he also has the strength to be overbearing." Lan Feng said with a faint smile, "Brother Zhong, as the host, we can't just watch them fight. If they really start fighting, that would be terrible." Boom! A monstrous aura suddenly exploded. Qin Yu, Lan Feng, and Zhongju were all startled. "Haha, too late. They have already started." Zhongju laughed loudly. Qin Yu used his spiritual sense to sweep and laughed. "Good fight. Now, the southern manor is almost half destroyed, and can no longer be lived in. That's also good. In the end, no one will have a place to live. Let them all go outside and build houses to live in." "Haha, good. No one has a place to live. Wu Kong Shui, arrange for people to build a manor in the southern manor." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said with a big laugh. Currently, the southern manor was already 80 to 90% destroyed. That chaotic appearance was simply uninhabitable. Although it was said to be the result of a fight between the Dragon Clan emissaries and the Devil Realm emissaries, it could also be deliberately done by the 2 emissaries. After all, if they continued to fight, it would not end well for anyone. The Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng and the Dragon Clan's patriarch Feng Tian looked at each other, then directly turned and left with a faint smile. The auction had not yet started, but the 4 great powers on Snowfish Island were already in constant friction. At the same time, the Immortal Realm emissaries, Devil Realm emissaries, Demon Realm emissaries, and Dragon Clan emissaries were also constantly in the dark. After all, the 4 of them had the most top-grade elemental holy ore. The central manor was the area where the Dragon Clan lived. "Brother Ao Feng, could you please have a chat with me?" Sword Immortal Hua Yen stood outside Ao Feng's courtyard and said with a faint smile. This Ao Feng was the Dragon Clan emissary. At this time, the door to Ao Feng's courtyard opened. Golden Dragon Elder Ao Yen walked out and said with a smile, "Senior Hua Yen, my lord has already said that he is not receiving guests." Hua Yen frowned. "Brother Ao Feng, your Dragon Clan already has a Sundering the Heavens diagram. You would not covet the one that is about to be auctioned, right?" Hua Yen asked reproachfully. Ao Feng still did not make a sound in the room. Golden Dragon Elder Ao Yen smiled and said, "Senior Hua Yen, my lord had once said that the more the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, the better. If you have one more, then others will not be able to enter. If there are fewer people entering, there will be fewer people competing for treasures. Haha, Senior Hua Yen, please take care. This junior will not send you off." Ao Yen immediately put on a respectful appearance. As he said that, the Golden Dragon Elder directly closed the door. Looking at the closed door, Hua Yan's face was covered with a layer of cold air. Humph! With a cold snort, Hua Yan turned and left. At this moment, in the main hall of Ao Feng's courtyard, Ao Feng and Man Gon were sitting opposite each other. "Brother Man Gon, come, cheers." Ao Feng raised his cup. Man Gon also smiled and raised his cup. Brother Ao Feng is really generous. Now that Hua Yan has left, Brother Ao Feng should say, "How many top-grade elemental holy or can you lend me, or how many can I exchange for?" Well said, let's drink first. Ao Feng smiled. No matter what kind of secret agreement each party had before the auction, when it came to the day of flattery, it still needed the actual top-grade elemental holy or from each party. After all, Qin Yu, who was in charge of this matter, had already said, "No matter what, I will definitely be fair. Whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy or this Sundering the Heavens diagram will belong to them." And the last day of the year, which was also the day of the Sundering the Heavens diagram auction, finally arrived under the expectations of each party. Chapter 276. The atmosphere of the entire Snowfish Island is clearly different today. The people of the various powers are obviously calm, and no one fights with each other. At the same time, the central manor of Snowfish Island is also decorated, and the loose practitioners of the chaotic astral ocean are all over the central manor. Let's go. Sword Immortal Hua Yan takes the lead, with Reverend Ming Liang, Reverend Ming Shan, Reverend Lan Bing, Reverend Qi Yang, and Shui Yu Yang following behind. They directly walk towards the square courtyard where the auction will be held. At the same time, Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng and Feng Tian advance side by side. Behind them are the three elders Ao Yen, Ao Su, and Yen Shan. Demon Realm emissary, Purple-Eyed Bull Demon King Man Gon, leads Yu Liang, Kong Chao, Xing Shou, and Wu Shan. Blood Devil Du Zhong Jun leads Wu Kong Shui, Dame Lian Yu, Fire Devil, and Wu Hei. From their respective residences, the four groups of people all walk towards the courtyard where the auction will be held, the square courtyard. No matter if the various powers secretly flirted with each other, or became angry out of humiliation, they all have smiles on their faces now. Within the square courtyard. The layout of the square courtyard is very simple. There are 4 round stone tables. These 4 round stone tables form a straight line, and are also on the same side. And on the opposite side is a rectangular stone table. Beside the rectangular stone table, there are 3 chairs. And around each of the 4 round tables, there are 8 chairs. And in the middle of the courtyard, there are 2 rows of people standing. All of them are members of the chaotic astral ocean. On the 3 chairs beside the rectangular stone table, there are currently 3 people sitting: Zhong Ju, Lan Feng, and Qin Yu. Qin Yu sits in the center, while Zhong Ju and Lan Feng sit on the left and right sides. The one hosting the auction of the Heaven Sundering diagram is Qin Yu, and Qin Yu naturally has to sit in the center. Brother Lan Feng, these few days, the various powers have been very chaotic, but now we have finally reached the final moment. I also don't know who will obtain this Heaven Sundering diagram. Zhong Ju's face has a trace of a smile. He has long since received Qin Yu's guarantee that he will be given a place to enter Ni Yang's realm from the chaotic astral ocean. Heaven Sundering diagram? Therefore, this time, Zhong Ju is only watching the show, while Qin Yu and Lan Feng are also watching the show. I just don't know how many top-grade elemental holy or the Heaven Sundering diagram will sell for in the end. Lan Feng smiled, then looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu, take a guess. Who do you think will get the Heaven Sundering diagram this time? Mine. Sword Immortal Hua Yan leads his 5 experts and walks in from the west door. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face is full of confidence. Brother Lan Feng, since you don't want this Sundering the Heavens diagram, of course I will take it. You are a Sword Immortal, and I am also a Sword Immortal. It is natural for me to take it. As he speaks, Sword Immortal Hua Yan leads his subordinates to their seats. Everyone can talk big, but the truth is often the opposite. An indifferent yet absolutely domineering voice resounded throughout the courtyard, as Man Gon and his party entered from the east gate. The cold light in Man Gon's purple eyes faintly swept a glance at Hua Yen, yet contained a trace of an arrogant aura. Hua Yen instead smiled and nodded towards Man Gon, without any anger. The reason why this square courtyard was called Square Courtyard was because this courtyard was originally built for this auction. That was why this courtyard had a total of 4 gates, namely the East Gate, West Gate, South Gate, and North Gate. Immediately, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's party and Dragon Clan Ao Feng's party entered from the South Gate and North Gate respectively, and each took a seat. 4 round tables. 4 groups of people sat around a round table. Naturally, each party's aura was emitted, and the 4 groups of people were not willing to be weaker than the others. Suddenly, everyone, today I want to auction this Sundering the Heavens diagram, and the one presiding over this auction is my martial nephew, Qin Yu. The auction process, auction requirements, and so on, everyone must listen to my martial nephew. If you are not willing to comply, you may leave. Sword Immortal Lan Feng's voice sounded, and at the same time, his gaze looked at everyone seated. Zhongju also smiled and looked at everyone. Looking at the 2 people sitting on either side of Qin Yu, it was very obvious that they were supporting Qin Yu. Yes, participating in this auction of the Sundering the Heavens diagram naturally must comply with the rules. Whoever does not comply, the first will be making things difficult for me. Man Gon's pair of tiger-like eyes swept a glance at the other 3 people, and then slightly smiled at Qin Yu. Brother Qin Yu, do not hesitate to carry out the auction according to your thoughts. Sword Immortal Hua Yen, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, and even the Dragon Clans Ao Feng and Feng Tian all understood that Man Gon seemed to have some special relationship with Qin Yu. Qin Yu smiled and stood up. Everyone, this junior has received orders from my martial uncle to preside over this auction of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Naturally, this auction will be carried out fairly and justly. I will now simply announce the rules. This auction will use top-grade elemental holy ores as the unit of measurement. We will not accept any other treasures. In other words, whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy ores will belong to them. Also, after the auction is successful, the top-grade elemental holy ores and the Sundering the Heavens diagram will be exchanged on the spot. If someone does not have that many top-grade elemental holy ores, but falsely reports the number, then whoever falsely reports will be surrounded and killed by everyone. Man Gon coldly snorted and said, "That's right, whoever dares to falsely report will be surrounded and killed by everyone." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also said with a face full of murderous intent. Sword Immortal Hua Yen lightly laughed. "Words are not enough, it is better to swear. I will take the lead. If anyone falsely reports the number of top-grade elemental holy ores during the auction, they will be surrounded and killed by everyone. At the same time, their soul will scatter and never be reincarnated. Everyone, do you dare?" After he finished speaking, Hua Yan's gaze swept across everyone. "Who doesn't dare?" Blood Devil Du Zhongjun also sneered, and at the same time, also made an oath. Under the smiles of Qin Yu, Lan Feng, and Zhongju, the 4 powers all made an oath. "Very good. Since all the seniors are so sincere, then I will also show my sincerity." Qin Yu waved his hand, and at the same time, a scroll appeared in front of everyone. Immediately, the eyes of the 4 powers lit up. Qin Yu slowly unfolded the scroll. Now that Senior Blood Devil, as well as Ao Feng and Feng Tian of the Dragon Clan have all seen the Sundering the Heavens diagram, you should also know the appearance and aura of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Everyone can appraise it. Qin Yu smiled and said to everyone, "Sundering the Heavens diagram." Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's eyes brightened. The Dragon Clan emissary, Ao Feng, also said, "Yes, this is the Sundering the Heavens diagram. I definitely did not misjudge it." Hua Yen also looked at Reverend Ming Liang beside him. At that time, Reverend Ming Liang had once obtained the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Naturally, he knew the aura and appearance of the Sundering the Heavens diagram. After carefully examining it, Reverend Ming Liang also nodded to Hua Yen. Hua Yan's face suddenly had a trace of a relaxed smile. Good. Does anyone have any doubts? Qin Yu laughed and said. Everyone shook their heads, indicating that they did not have any doubts. Let's start the auction. Don't waste time. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said. Good. Since everyone is impatient, then let's start the auction. Qin Yu's voice became louder. The Sundering the Heavens diagram is the key to entering Ni Yang's realm. It is incomparably precious. The Sundering the Heavens diagram's base price is 1 top-grade elemental holy ore. Whoever offers the most top-grade elemental holy ore will obtain the Sundering the Heavens diagram. Now, everyone, please make your bids. Qin Yu stood and said in a loud voice. While he spoke, Qin Yu's heart was actually carefully observing the 4 great emissaries. From the looks of it, the ones who are determined to obtain this Sundering the Heavens diagram are Man Gong and Hua Yan. Qin Yu could guess something by looking at the 2 people's gazes. However, that Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng Zong has that smiling appearance. No one knows what he is thinking in his heart. This is a variable. Qin Yu made a judgment in his heart. Actually, currently, the Dragon Clan and the Blood Devils both had the Sundering the Heavens diagram. If they wanted to compete, it would be the other 2 sides. Of course. It was also possible that the Dragon Clan and the Blood Devils wanted to prevent others from interfering, and thus also participate in the auction to compete for the Sundering the Heavens diagram. I bid 2 top-grade elemental holy ore. The voice of the first bidder sounded. Qin Yu looked towards the source of the voice. It was precisely the Blood Devil, Du Zhongjun. Hearing the voice of Blood Devil, Du Zhongjun, Sword Immortal Hua Yan laughed. Du Zhongjun, you really dare to bid. You are not afraid of the oath just now. I bid 3 top-grade elemental holy ore. Hua Yan, I know that you are determined to obtain it, so I am just joining in the fun. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun said with a smile. Others did not know, but Sword Immortal Hua Yan was very clear. If one were to say who had the least top-grade elemental holy ore, it would most likely be Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. According to Sword Immortal Hua Yan's guess, Blood Devil Du Zhongjun most likely did not even have 2 top-grade elemental holy ore. That was because Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's top-grade elemental holy ore had almost all landed in Sword Immortal Hua Yan's hands. Of course, Sword Immortal Hua Yan also paid a huge price. I bid 4 top-grade elemental holy ore. Man Gong said with a smile. All right, Hua Yan, don't waste time. This auction is also a competition between you and me. How many top-grade elemental holy ore do you have? Just say it. On the stage, Qin Yu was actually secretly happy. Let's compete. Take out all the top-grade elemental holy ore you have, the more the better. In any case, I will not complain about having too many. Qin Yu looked at the competition below with a smile. The more top-grade elemental holy ore he had, the stronger his Sword Immortal puppet would be. How many top-grade elemental holy ore I have? Why should I say it? Sword Immortal Hua Yan lightly smiled. Sword Immortal Hua Yan was very smart. If he had far more top-grade elemental holy ore than Man Gong, and bid too much at once, Man Gong would not be able to compete. Didn't he, Hua Yan, give more top-grade elemental holy ore to Qin Yu for nothing? Therefore, every time he bid, Sword Immortal Hua Yan would only increase it by 1 top-grade elemental holy ore. 5 top-grade elemental holy ore. Hua Yan bid again. Humph, I bid 7 top-grade elemental holy ore. Man Gong once again increased the bid, and then smiled at Hua Yan. Hua Yan, I want to see how many top-grade elemental holy ore you actually have. Hua Yan suddenly smiled at the Dragon Clan emissary, Ao Feng, and said, I heard that the Dragon Clan is rich and overbearing. I presume that brother Ao Feng also has a lot of top-grade elemental holy ore. Why? Brother Ao Feng suddenly did not bid. Are you waiting for a surprise attack at the end? Rich and overbearing? Ha ha. My top-grade elemental holy ore is not as many as yours, Hua Yan. Ao Feng always had a smiling face. Hua Yen, don't waste time. Ao Feng will not participate. Man Gon said indifferently. Oh. Looks like the Dragon Clan's top-grade elemental holy ore is in your hands? Hua Yen frowned. Smart. Say it, I just bid 7 top-grade elemental holy ore, do you have more? Man Gon's eyes were filled with a blazing light, and an oppressive feeling pressed towards Hua Yen. On the stage, Qin Yu had been listening to everyone's bids. 7. In addition to my original one, after the auction ends, my sword Immortal Puppet can at least display the power of a level 8 Golden Immortal. Level 8 Golden Immortal. Qin Yu felt excited just thinking about it. Only, Qin Yu understood one thing. There was a limit to level 8 Golden Immortal. Once the energy of 8 top-grade elemental holy ore was used up, the sword Immortal Puppet would be a piece of scrap metal. Therefore, he needed more top-grade elemental holy ore. Top-grade elemental holy ore, even in the Immortal Realm and Devil Realm, it is very precious. The price to use the sword Immortal Puppet is really high. Qin Yu was very distressed. However, the sword Immortal Puppet was very powerful. No matter how much it was used up, Qin Yu still had to use it. At that moment, the competition between the primitive demon clan and the loose immortal side had already reached the final stage. 10 top-grade elemental holy ore, I don't believe you have that many left. Man Gon said coldly. The 4 great emissaries, none of them asked for top-grade elemental holy ore from their backers when they descended. That was because they did not think that the mortal realm would require top-grade elemental holy ore. Even if it was to replenish power, they had their own spirit pills. These top-grade elemental holy ore were their own. A normal level 1 golden immortal probably could not even take out a single top-grade elemental holy ore. It was only because these people were the elites of their respective powers that they had a few top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yen was startled. Haha, no more? If not, then admit defeat. Man Gon laughed coldly. I bid 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's eyes were about to turn red. Man Gon's face changed. Good, good. I did not expect you to have so many top-grade elemental holy ore. Sword Immortal Hua Yen thought of the 11 top-grade elemental holy ore he had and felt distressed. In order to obtain top-grade elemental holy ore from Blood Devil Du Zhongjun, he had been ruthlessly slaughtered by Blood Devil Du Zhongjun. Only then did he barely manage to gather 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. He only had a total of 11 top-grade elemental holy ore. If Man Gon bid one more, he would have no hope. Good, I do not have many top-grade elemental holy ore on me. In total, I only have 12 pieces. I bid 12 top-grade elemental holy ore. If you have the ability, then bid again. Man Gon's body also emitted a terrifying aura. In the end, they both felt that the other party had reached his limit. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face could not help but turn pale. 12 pieces? Just one more than him. On the stage, ever since the bid exceeded 8 top-grade elemental holy ore, Qin Yu, who had been cheerful all along, finally spoke. Currently, the Demon Realm emissary Man Gon has bid 12 top-grade elemental holy ore. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? Qin Yu looked around at the crowd. Qin Yu's attention was mostly on Sword Immortal Hua Yan's body. At the same time, he looked at Sword Immortal Hua Yan with an encouraging and expectant gaze. Sword Immortal Hua Yan's face was pale, and he did not speak at all. Qin Yu understood in his heart that Hua Yan indeed did not have any more top-grade elemental holy ore. If there is no higher bid, then this Sundering the Heavens diagrams will belong to Brother Man Gon. Qin Yu's voice began to rise. Wait. The Dragon Clan emissary Ao Feng stood up and said with a smile. Little brother Qin Yu, please do not be anxious. The matter is not over yet. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.